I know that you have to put energy, you have to put time, you have to invest time. There's 10,000 hours. I've done 100,000. Like you know what I mean? Everyone needs to be able to give up as much time as they can to learn this shit, be willing to live uncomfortably.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to live uncomfortably. There's nothing that I've done that's been easy. You know what I mean? It's always against, like, even at this point, I'm still starting Black with No Cream. I'm thinking like, man, should I go rent this fucking office for whatever a month? Like, I gotta put money for this. I got my apartment. I gotta do this shit. I gotta pay bills. I gotta also make a little fucking fund for my retirement someday when I get old, because I fund myself. You know what I mean? Like, and like, even I just got a potential offer for a job, and it's like a salary paid job, and it's like 6 figures, and I'm probably gonna say fucking no to that shit.
Purpose in the Youth. Purpose in the Youth podcast. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Today in the studio, Ben Hagarty.
How you doing,
brother? Bro, you got me laughing before
I
could even hit the punchline.
You fucked him up his whole intro.
God.
I fucked up the whole thing. Can I cuss on this?
Absolutely.
Right,
Let
sweet.
it fly.
My
Let
bad.
it fly.
I'm
This
sorry.
is a R-rated podcast. I want it real. I want it
love
raw. I want everything.
Same.
Just be who you are.
All
you
right,
know?
cool.
We got creative director, photographer, videographer, editor, musician, fellow podcaster, founder of Black with No Cream.
Yes.
How do you balance all of these creative endeavors?
I don't know. You know?
Yeah. Like, cause I'm thinking, I wake up every day and I'm trying to find a podcast. Then I have to put up this episode. And then I'm only just focused on creating this type of content. And you're just like, gotta shoot this video, gotta shoot a doc. Oh, I'm recording a podcast. Like, there's just so many things that gotta be going through your head.
Yeah, it's you gotta find balance, I guess. But I think, I don't know, man. It's just like my head's really chaotic on shit. It's hard to like shut it off.
Yeah.
So it's always just moving. It's always been like that for me. I just always am sitting here multitasking in my head and trying to do a bunch of stuff, but then I forget to, like, you know, close the bathroom, the toilet seat. My girl gets mad at me.
Your
It's like stupid things like that I've kind of blocked out, but everything else, I don't know. It's just kind of Trello. I've been using Trello a lot lately.
What's that?
Have you heard of that? It's
No.
It's like an organizing, I don't know. It's just like a dope app that you can use that, and you like put like little cards. It's basically like a sticky note on steroids.
Oh, okay.
But it's money. I've been using that a lot. No ad. It's no ad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this an ad?
Sponsor us, guys. Sponsor
we
us.
already hitting the sponsor.
Yeah, I wish.
Sponsor.
Yeah.
Do you find that certain days of the week you're working on certain things, or is it just really free for all of today I need to work on this because this is due, tomorrow I got to work on this because I want to drop the podcast?
Yeah. Since I've gotten home, I got home from tour like right at the end of this last year, so I went home, did some family.
What
shit.
tour was this?
Beyonce and Jay-Z's tour, On the Run tour. We got done with that tour, and I went home to finally chill because I had just been like nonstop. I hadn't seen my family in a year and stuff, so got to go home, hang out, and then coming back, my main goal is like I just want to focus as much as possible on building Black with No Cream, which is like my private creator community that I started almost 2 years ago, and podcasts. So I've been trying to develop that because I don't know, I'm just like mad passionate about building like a proper space for education for creators.
Yeah.
Seems like really important to me. And so I've just been spending a lot of time doing that, and then trying to balance that with like my career, which is creating content for different companies, brands, artists, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I just kind of wing it. Yeah. I just really wing it. Like, I get up every day. I'm good right now. I get up. I've spent as much time as I possibly can on this podcast shit and all that stuff, and interviewing people, and then turning around trying to figure out how we're going to build it into like a proper company that can afford all my friends that are helping us build it and stuff like that. We got my boy Nikos over here. He's
Hey,
like always
in the building.
helping
All the way
out
from
podcast.
Greece, right?
Yeah,
all the way
right.
from Greece.
My boy David Malave, all the people.
I think the benefit too of probably the world you're living in now is that there is no longer that structure of a Monday through Friday, which a lot of people live by. So it's like every day is an opportunity of what can I get done? What do I have scheduled?
Right.
What do I need to work on? So it completely changes the way you see the week, because there's no longer that format anymore. It's just this constant work in progress.
Yeah.
And it has to be. It's always like a work in progress, especially when you're starting a business,
right,
or you're running your own passion project, or you're doing a million different things and you're traveling around the world. Like, there's always that thing that you're working on.
Yeah. Even like right now, I honestly don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
If it is the weekend or
Friday.
It's Friday.
It is
so
Friday.
like I just knew, like I'm so good at just seeing my calendar and knowing there's stuff on that for that day, and I'm just like, all right, cool, and I can try to prepare. So it's always shitty like that. But that's probably to blame of tour, because every day is the exact same day.
Yep.
Repetitive. It's so repetitive. And you get used to that. And then all of a sudden you get back to real life and you're like kind of trying to juggle everything. And tour is so structured where you kind of get used to what your day's like. And then you come back home and it's completely back to whatever you do. Yeah. And so it's up to you to kind of structure your shit. But I've been trying to like get up as early as I can in the morning, which I've really been struggling with a lot lately. For some reason, I've had like the hardest time getting up in the morning. And we just talked. I did a podcast about it the other day. We do like this morning roast segment on my podcast every Wednesday, where I'll deep dive into like a specific topic.
Personally, or just anything in general?
Anything in general. Usually, it's like, oh, we see some people in the community talking about X, Y, Z. Let's dive deeper into that. So maybe like contracts, like people be like, hey, does anyone know about contracts? And we'll just kind of like try to pique some interest and find ways to motivate or help or supply some tips or suggestions, whatever, like really bottleneck it and make it really small in like 20 minutes or whatever. But we did one episode and it was about maximizing your day. And like there's days or weeks and months where I could be like really on it and be like, all right, cool, I'm only asleep for 6 hours, get up, do all that shit. And then for some reason lately I was just like, fuck, I cannot wake up in the morning. And then all of a sudden it's like 8:39, which is driving me crazy because I set my alarm for 7 or something, and I'm not up and I didn't accomplish something that I wanted to get done at that time. So it's always a mental feat. Like if I have to be at a job at 7, I'm there. Yeah. But if I have to get up and work out of my house and do XYZ for my own personal thing, it's really hard, bro. Like I talk about this with Uber drivers all day because it's like, yo, you drive Uber, but you're the boss. You've done this shit. So it's
this
like,
is what I've been doing, brother. This is what I've been doing.
When you drive Uber, you have to be able to go get the 8 hours.
Self-discipline.
Yeah, it's all discipline.
But
so
and the reason I've been able to make it work is because I've figured out a structure. Even though I'm in control of my time 100% across the board, whether it's creating content, podcasting, vlogs, or driving Uber, like I'm 100% in my own time.
Hell yeah.
But I've figured out like a system to it. So I know you could pick, honest to God, you could tell me any time of the week, like where are you going to be next Friday at 3 p.m. and I could probably tell you exactly where I'll be. Whether I'm creating, whether I'm like out on the streets of Uber. If I'm out Ubering, I can't tell you exactly where I'll be. But I'll know because I figured out a routine.
Right.
And I think routine sometimes it gets boring, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that's where success, that you need to have routines to get the success.
Yes.
And for me, as I'm sitting across from you, you're talking about like that morning thing. It's like, that was probably one of the greatest things that I figured out in the past 6-8 months, is that perfect morning routine for me that I know works. Get up early, go to the gym, come back, have a good breakfast, meditate, shower, like own the day, let the day be mine. So I always say, like, you win the morning, you win the day. I'm going to let the morning be my self time, and then I'm going to get onto projects, and then I'm going to get onto emails, and then I'm going to respond to text messages. But if I can go into the day right off the bat, it's all about me, and it's spending 2 to 3 hours getting me almost like prepped, primes for the day. Then I'm like, all right, I know exactly time to email, time to get onto the next podcast, or it just helps me get into that motion.
There's like days where there's small spurts where I could do that and I'm like happy as hell, right? Because then all of a sudden the fucking job comes where it's like, hey, are you available tomorrow morning? Or for instance, like I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna wake up, I'm not gonna look at my phone, I'm not gonna do this shit. But then I check my phone and it's like, where are you? We need you to respond to this right now. We're trying to award this budget and all this stuff. And it's like there's so much shit that it's like I'm dipped into that sometimes I'm like at the cost of the job. Like I literally have to bow down to certain things to be able to make that happen or this happen, and it sucks. And if I have been trying to get better at it, especially after tour, to be able to say like, all right, cool, yo, tonight I'm not doing shit after 7. That's it, it's done, or whatever. And I would like to do that again tomorrow, and if I can do that again the next day, that'd be great. But then all of a sudden, there's a job that runs from 7 to 7, and or not 7 to 7, like noon till midnight, and then your 7 to stop schedule stopped, and you're fucked, and then your whole shit's then you sleep in the next day, and then you're back to a wacky ass schedule. I think that's always the difficult part, is that I can sit there and be like, all right, cool, there's no jobs booked right now, I'm good, my days are going to start off at this time, I'm going to get done by this time, I'm going to feel good about it, and it works. But then another one comes up around the corner and you can't turn it down, and then it's an opportunity for this, and you know what I mean, you have to find the fine balance. But I'm cool with it. I like where I'm at, and I think I'm getting a better headspace. Like I just now started working the gym into my life. Amazing. like the last 2 months, and feel 10 times better. But before I made it where my jobs control my life, and I would get up and sit in my fucking computer chair
And immediately
blah,
get to
blah,
working
blah, blah.
within 10 minutes, right?
And then it's midnight, and I
Yeah.
haven't done anything, and my back hurts when I stand up, and that's the worst, man. So I'm like, if I can at least go and get an hour in, like, I'm texting my brother every day, screenshots of my like work, like I did it again,
He's cheering you on. Keep
Yeah,
going.
it's great. So that stuff helps a lot, but yeah, you just gotta find balance. That's always
The
been
mental and physical health, I swear, if you can just grab hold of that, it's gonna help you in every aspect of your life. You had said you went back to your after the tour, you went home for the first time, and it was a year almost.
Yeah.
How is going from running around the world touring with Jay-Z and Beyonce to then going back home? Like, is it refreshing for you? Is it a good time to just like decompress?
Yeah, I was looking for, because we actually booked like a longer trip back home. We went home like 4 days before Christmas, and then I didn't come back till like the 3rd or something after New Year's. So I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna stick around for a while instead of just go home for like a week, stay home for like 2 or 3 weeks or whatever almost. But it was like, there's so many people to see.
Yeah.
I have like, you know, not just my family, my girl's family. So it's like we're doing that stuff too. Not even getting to see them enough. I felt like on top of me just up to the point of getting to go home, I was so excited, just be like, yo, I'm just gonna go chill. I'm gonna fucking be on my computer and just like live and get inspiration from new things and start planning my year. And none of that happened because I was just like constantly doing this, or you know, I want to go see my parents or my sister, but you know what I mean, like you're always busy. So it's like, it was great. It was relaxing. I love being home. I was the shit. I was my favorite fucking place on earth. It's
and this is Cedar Falls, right?
Cedar Falls, Iowa, yeah.
But you originally you grew up, I think it was Waterloo for like till like 2nd grade or something. So you got to give a little love to Waterloo.
Okay, so I grew up in Waterloo till 3rd grade. Moved to Cedar Falls until, you know, forever.
Yeah.
And my family lived in Cedar Falls, but then they built a house that's like literally on the border of Cedar Falls, Waterloo. It's like bordering towns, right?
Okay.
So now my parents technically live in Waterloo, so like they're back there. But I went to Cedar Falls High School. I was in Cedar Falls for everything. I went to the University of Northern Iowa, which is in Cedar Falls. So like my whole life is Cedar Falls, but I basically go back and forth. Like my mom works in Waterloo. Yeah. My dad worked in Waterloo. It's like, So
paint me a picture of that childhood though, growing up out there. What is this like for young Ben?
Young Ben went to Catholic school.
Yep.
Till he was in 8th grade, and rode that little wave. And then when I got to
rode that little wave.
Yeah, ran that little wave. I was always like didn't really get it or whatever. My family's really religious, but it was just kind of like a defeating thing for me. And I was like, me and my friends would always just think a little differently about it. And then coming towards getting into high school, all of the girls in my grade, my school was mad small, but all the girls would go to this Catholic high school, and all the guys seemed to be going to the public high school. And I really wanted to go to public school. My parents really wanted me, with the boys, my boys. And my parents wanted me to go to Catholic school for like multiple reasons. Not only they went to that school when they went to high school, but they also knew that the sports program might have been a little bit easier to like play sports. And if I want to play basketball and shit, the public school is so big, it might have been easier to do all this shit, whatever, for the reasons. But I was like, yo, I literally told my parents, I was like, if you make me go to this Catholic school, I swear to God, I'm turning goth. I was like, I'm going gothic. And they're like, no. Like, what the fuck is gothic? But but eventually I got it my way. I went to public school. That introduced me to like my music background. My neighbor at the time, when we moved to Cedar Falls, like 3rd grade, whatever, my neighbor was into like this. He was like in a hardcore band. And I remember hearing them playing music outside, like when I was riding my bike and shit, and just like heard them practicing. And so he kind of introduced me to their music. I remember like going over and listening to them play, and I was like, sounds mad weird because it's not like radio music, but it was cool to see them play. Long story short, as we were in public school, we started our own bands. We were playing I was like in a Jimi Hendrix, even in junior high, I was in like a Jimi Hendrix cover band where I was like singing. I didn't even know who Jimi Hendrix was. My friend was just like,
"You grow up like have a fro."
No, I didn't fucking know. I didn't know why we were singing these songs. I just wanted to be. Yeah, my friend's like, "Do you want to be the singer of our Jimi Hendrix cover band?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And I'm like, "Who the fuck is Jimi Hendrix?" And so then I just want to sing. Yeah, I'm learning Jimi Hendrix songs, and then me and my friends started bands, and like we would play like the talent shows and shit, which was like really cool. We played like our last day of junior high day or whatever, and it's like the last day, and we like set up outside, and we are like, fuck, this is gonna be massive for us, like this is gonna be huge, and we like play it and people watched. And then throughout high school I was like always involved in music. Like I just fucking lived in the culture. I became like straight edge. I like was in the hardcore punk scene and just mobbed with our squad. We booked shows all the time. We had people coming from all these different punk bands and shit would be traveling, and we'd book them. They would come through. We'd put local bands on it so that we'd build like a show. Yeah. And people would come out, man. It was crazy. We'd have shows nonstop. And I like growing up in that scene, I don't know, just inspired me because my friends weren't just like it was like my fucking brothers. You know what I mean? Like we really, really developed like. It's crazy how big this shit was. Like you go to a show.
It was named Long Night. Was that the name of the group?
So
Long
yeah,
Nights?
we had a band called Omended Dogs.
Oh, so there's multiple. You had multiple.
We had
bands.
lots of bands.
Oh, okay.
I had lots of bands.
Okay.
By Way of Stereo was the OG shit to all my OG VW or whatever the fuck that shit was called. By Way of Stereo. We had so many bands, bro. And I was in a hardcore band called Ancestors at one point. But the real bands were Omended Dogs, which was like a pop punk band. Mm-hmm. Like inspired heavily by like Saves the Day, and then we started Long Nights, which was like a more progressive like indie rock type band. Mm-hmm. That shit was like my last band I played in, where I played drums in both of those, and we toured. Like we would go we had a fucking 12-passenger van that we bought.
And this is just in high school.
This was high school going into
college.
Yeah, high school, the end of high school we started touring. Going into college we continued to do this shit, maybe like freshman and sophomore year.
What's interesting is that sometimes I feel like people in their childhood, they find like that one thing that they kind of just work on, whether it's a sport, whether it's a music career, whether it could be a lot of different things. But at the same time of doing this music, you're also kind of messing around with the camera. I'd seen there was a picture on your website of like I'm guessing was like 5 to 6 years young with the video camera. Like, so had you always been pulled into creating as a kid, or did it like, how did that kind of just stumble into your life?
My parents, you know, my dad would, whatever, he'd have a camera and like video cameras. And so I would just always play with it and just film shit. And when like that picture, like being that young, like I remember like in 3rd and 4th grade when I moved to Cedar Falls, I didn't know anyone. We lived kind of like outskirts of town. So like I didn't have friends. And I remember like filming my sisters or my sister, my brother, and like just my other old friends would come over and we'd like make like music videos to like Backstreet Boys songs and shit.
Love it.
And so we just I'd just be filming. I have no idea what we didn't like edit it. Like I just would think that was it. Like we filmed the video. That was awesome. Like maybe we could plug it into the TV and watch it back, but we weren't like I wasn't editing or nothing at that time. But that shit was it was just so fun to be creative. And like even beyond that, like my other friend, like we would make these videos. So my best friend when I was up to like 3rd grade, he lived across the street from me. When I moved, his family bought my house, so they bought my old house.
Was that
so
a little
I could
weird?
go back. It was awesome because
awesome.
It's like I never lost my house.
I'm gonna actually keep my room. I'm keeping all my shit in here, so nobody touches the room.
So I would go back and we would just like we were always making videos, and I remember like we would paint. I think I've told this story before, but we painted. I remember painting my face like green, and we were gonna make this alien movie. And we had like tons of like crafts and shit, like paint, whatever, beads and whatnot. So I painted my face green. And then I would like ride my bike around the neighborhood to like make it hard. You know what I mean? Thinking outside the box. Yeah, to make it hard. Pause. And I would bike really fast. And I remember like one time it just felt so good. Like the way it was like a real.
Just pushing.
The mask was like getting tight on my face. It felt so relaxing. I like shut my eyes, easily coasted my bike off the road, smoked a tree. Think about if you were one of the neighbors, like looking outside and seeing this dumbass kid on his bike, like no hands, like and just smokes a fucking tree, and then gets up and like cries and rides
Honey, what's
back home.
going on with Ben next door?
Yeah,
Call
what's
his
up with that
parents.
kid?
Call his parents.
Yeah, something's wrong with him. But like we just were always inspired, wanting to make content and shit. And then I think in high school, progressing into music, it wasn't necessarily about content. I was really into the idea of capturing what we did. I thought it was cool that we could
look back on it
just to shit. No, like I think at the time this was when MySpace started taking off and shit, and I don't even know how we were sharing videos at the time, but I think it was so cool to be like, oh, I went snowboarding and we filmed all of it and we just watch it all raw and just like, man, this is sick, look how he did the trick or whatever. And like playing shows, we would like go play shows and someone would film it, and it felt like, yo, look at how fucking talented we are. And like that was like us showing off that shit at the early age, to be able to say like, this is a full song that we wrote and made and performed and people liked it, and it was cool to see that. So that was as like the extent of me making content for that shit. It was just like, yo, film it, we're gonna play a show, film it. And but then we started like when we tour, I'd meet all these people, man. Like imagine like I'm in high school and we fill up a van that we bought fucking used from some dude for like, I think it was like $1,200. We built a loft in the back so we could put all of our gear underneath and sleep on top of this like piece of wood that we like put our God. And we'd travel, and it would be like 7 of my best friends traveling, trying to figure out how to properly book a tour that we book on MySpace, where we like message other people.
I still remember those days.
Yeah, and
man.
different like, oh hey, we're coming to Kentucky. Like, is there anyone that could book us a show? And you send that message to 1,000 people, and like one person will be, oh yeah, we'll do it. And then cool, we just need like $100. If we could get like $100, it'd be awesome. That's just gonna get us a tank of gas to get to the next spot. And we did that shit. We lived on ramen, and we fucking traveled. And I got to see the United States for the first time that way. Like, I traveled with my family and like done road trips and stuff, but we're literally I'm going to like New York, and by the time we got to New York, we ran out of money, and we're like, fuck. Like, we slept in Buffalo, New York, literally at a hotel. Like, I remember 2 of my friends were sleeping under the van,
God,
and 2, yeah. So that way we all had a way to lay out, and so they slept under the van, and we got woken up by this officer, and because the hotel called and was like, yo, there's some fucking, I don't know what's going on out there, but there's like lots of dudes sleeping outside. So that he like wakes us up. He's like, yo man, he's all New York accent and shit. He's like, what you guys in a band or whatever? I don't know how he sounded, but he's like, you guys in a fucking band? What are you doing? You guys can't sleep here. And we're like, oh, sorry, man. All right, we'll get out of here. And that was like, I remember we ran out of our money. We had enough money to like go to one more show, and the show sounded promising, right? Mm-hmm. We go to this show, and we get to go to New York City, and we see New York City for the first time. We like took the train in, stay at this mob.
It's gonna be amazing.
It was so
coming
cool
from the Midwest,
bro. I was like, this shit's like that shit, because I knew I loved cities. I never lived in one, but like I was like, yo, I for sure need to be in like a city, or I need to be like in that world of fame somehow, like be involved in this culture. And we go to New York, I see all that shit. I'm like, this shit is fucking dope. And then we see one more show in Connecticut, and then ran out of our money and drove straight home from Connecticut to Iowa, which is like 22 hours or something like that. And literally we had enough money to buy gas, but the gas had to be a certain amount of money. And from Illinois, crossing from Illinois into Iowa, it was like $3 for gas, $2 for gas kind of scenario. Yeah. We had to, we coasted. The shit ran out of gas, coasted across the bridge, and we like fucking sent it into we literally were able to run a no gas van into a gas station, get enough fuel to be able to get back home. And that was like our first tour. Wow. That shit, like, if you want to talk about, and I say this shit all the time, because I feel like as a creator, people are getting cameras at an early age, and they're shooting and they're making this shit, whatever. That's great. Mm-hmm. But there's something about, and we talked about this before, I moved out to LA when I was like 26, 27 years old. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about careers, it's like, oh, how long have you been doing this shit? It's like, yo, I've been doing this shit my whole life. Like, the fact that I've gone, like, I could do tours like that and meet people. Like, when we went to New York, we stayed at a fucking kid's house that his dad was in the mob. They had a wood chipper set up in the back of their yard. He's like, don't go over there. Their house was all made of marble. And my friend knew this dude who knew this dude, but he was punk. And so he let us stay at this house, bro. And like, why was I at a mobster's house in New York City? You know what I mean?
No fly zone.
But those experiences add up values of stories, and those stories can project in your content, right? So like, you take that shit with you. So like, doing that tour, I took all that shit with me. I'll remember that till the day I'm dead. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Especially because you guys are going out, and you guys are you're still so young in the grand scheme of things. So it's like, you're learning how to grow up fast. You're traveling around the country. You're asking strangers for directions. You're trying to figure out how we're going to make enough money to fill our tank up, or we're going to sleep under a car. Like, that rawness and realness, and like the lessons that I would imagine you're learning at that age, it's like, you're probably still remembering these moments of like, all right, as we'll get into in a little bit, like, you're sleeping on an air mattress, but it's better than sleeping on the floor under the van now in New York.
Yeah,
so
right?
It's like,
but even in the same sense, like, think about the parallels, like what we were doing at that age versus some of my other friends that took, or just people I went to school with and shit. Like, people weren't spending their summers doing that. Yeah, okay, maybe their family flew them out to fucking Greece or some shit, and they got to go have a ballin' ass time, or whatever, go to Cancun, whatever, that's cool. But to choose to literally live like dollar to dollar off ramen noodles, to travel the world and meet people and build friendships and perform your music and do all that shit, that's such a risk. Like, that's the dumbest thing we could ever do. Yeah. And we did it. And parallel, I could have chose the alternative route, which would have been like, oh, I could just go to school, I could spend my summer drinking alcohol and fucking kick it by the pool, and that type of shit. You know what I mean? Like, you could do that shit, but like, I don't know. I just feel like I gained so much experience by doing that, and I respect people that go out of their way to like live a little bit. You know what I mean? You
gotta roll the dice.
Yeah,
you gotta roll the dice.
Things are changing, but like, I understand there's a safety net in just kind of following the path of, you know, go to this school, then you go get your job put in right away, and people don't go do anything, and like, that's it. And then you don't have those experiences. But for me, I need that shit to create. You know what I mean? I needed to go on that tour. I needed to do several other tours that I did beyond that. Yeah.
So at what point, so if you're touring, what is the inspiration to get you to go to, I think it was called Hawkeye Community College? Yeah. So Like, what's the purpose of going there then? If you're touring with the band,
It's a good question.
You eventually started
Bobby.
a hip hop group with your homie.
That's right.
And you're making videos. You're working valet. You're doing all this shit. Why go to college?
So,
and are you learning anything? While you're
okay,
in school?
so while we're doing the rock bands, this is before I started doing hip hop shit. We get done with high school, we tour. It was awesome. Everyone in my band has to go to college. Like, they're all like, "Oh, I'm going to school. I need to go to school." So I'm like, "Fuck. All right, so we gotta go to school."
How'd your parents feel too about this whole touring?
They
thing?
love touring. They got it. They understood it. They definitely like fucking had my back, bro. Like, they let me do. They knew that I was just very passionate about this shit. They knew I wasn't out fucking doing drugs and drinking. Like I said, I was straight edge. I literally was me and this group of people like pretty much said like, "Oh yeah, we don't drink, we don't smoke, fucking we just live this punk lifestyle, fucking skateboard and snowboard and shit." And that was dope because it was like cool. They allowed us. So now when some dope band's playing in Minnesota, like it was cool for us to drive up 4 hours, 3 hours to go to Minnesota and be in the city and go to a show. And they knew we were gonna come back and we weren't gonna fucking do something bad or whatever. Like, we had freedom to do certain things that a lot of my friends couldn't do. And I think it was because they understood who me and my friends were, and they saw us with each other all the time. They saw us making music. Like, my parents let us fucking make music in their basement, bro. Like, that, the Hagarty house is, now it's called the Hagarty Hotel because there's like people are always crashing at the house.
Yeah.
If you're in Iowa and you need a spot to stay, hit my mom and dad up.
Hit them.
But at the time, like, we had the basement. The basement turned it was amps. There's fucking drum sets. There's all shit. And every band, we played music nonstop downstairs,
parents,
and the house is rattling, bro. Yeah, and they let it happen, and like they set it up. That was my parents' goal. Was my mom always says like she wanted me to go to college. I was like, what she worked hard for was to put her kids in college, and I didn't understand like what that meant at the time. Like, I didn't realize how much money she was spending on me to go to school. I hated school. I was always like, fuck this shit. Like, I always want to move to Colorado and make snowboard videos for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Play music and tour and like. But they did sacrifice everything for us to be able to, you know, do whatever we were passionate about. So like my brother and sister are all-star sport athletes. I was like a fucking nerd who liked to snowboard and paintball, and you know what I mean, I played soccer and shit and like baseball coming up, but like definitely became very alternative randomly. Like, no one makes music in my family. It's not like
just what you were pulled into.
I just pulled into it and it was cool. But going to community college, I was just like, all right, cool. Well, if we can only tour during spring break, summer vacation, things like that, then I'll be in school too. I don't know what I'm going
to
for.
kill time.
Yeah, basically. Like, my schedule was around them, so it was like the same thing. So I went to community college for 2 years and was like, why the fuck am I here? And then switched to the University of Northern Iowa, where I went to college for like another 2.5 years and started studying communications.
So something
the easiest degree you can ever get.
Yeah.
But to me, I didn't even like. I love hearing people be like, "Oh yeah, I got a communications degree," and they all laugh about it. And they're like, "It's fucking easy as shit." And I'm like, "Why is it like a joke? Like, that's so ridiculous that like even to have a degree called communications that's supposed to be a cakewalk. Like, why are we paying money for that then if it's that easy?" But I was drawn into it because they had an electronic media program, and I was like, "Oh, cool! I can use cameras and all that shit and like." Film stuff, like, that's sick. Like, we could make videos with this stuff, and like I knew some of the gear that they had because friends have done it before. So I was like, all right, I'll go to school for that shit. And so I started studying that, which was like a bullshit news program that sets you up. It farms newscasters basically. Like, you go there, you learn the basics of editing, you go and you can work for a news station. Basically, that was just kind of it.
Did you know, kind of going into that senior year or even graduating, like, I'm definitely finding a way to make a living creating something? Whether it's visuals, whether it's music, or...
It was okay. So music, I never thought about the idea of making a living. Like, that wasn't like, oh, I need to go fucking save up for my retirement fund and I need to pay, like, get a salary. Like, that shit didn't make sense to me because all I cared about was music. Like, I want to tour. My bands are gonna be huge. We're gonna fucking tour all forever, and we're gonna. There was no reality beyond my life. I was definitely living in the fucking moment. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was just passionate about wanting to make music and for people to hear it, and like for our messages to be clear and sent. Like, Long Night's music was so powerful. The way Chris wrote his lyrics were fucking incredible. And I've never been in like, that band was unreal. And there's so many people, like, it was kind of devastating to me when he ended up going to another college, and it was random, but he wanted to go. He's in med school, motherfucker. He just graduated. It's crazy. And like, he's been in that forever, but like, he knew that he wanted to do that. And for us, we're like, oh, it's over with. Even though they live like an hour and a half away from us, we're like, we could have still did
It's gone. It's
but we're
over.
like, fuck. But like for us, it was like, yo, this is gonna be huge. And we were getting offers to go on some big tours, and like people were gonna help us out with the exposure and shit. And it was gonna take off. That was the idea. And then when that ended, I was bummed, but I still wanted to be involved in music. And in community college, I met my homie Beyonce, who we had a class together. We hated the teacher. We would like talk shit about her in the back of the class. Fuck that crazy ass bitch. And then we'd talk shit about her, and then that made us become friends. And then we'd start talking about music and shit. And I had told him at one point that my friend Marcus Frisky had gave me some beats. And Marcus, I'll get into in a second because he's my tie to EA. But me and him both worked in a car wash, right? So long story short, Marcus now is like the head of content at EA Sports. He like oversees like all the social shit. Yes.
Good connection.
Yeah, but at the time we were just car wash boys. We out here. And he
You got the interior. I got the
yeah,
exterior.
exactly.
Let's do it.
So Marcus gave me a bunch of music before he moved, and then when I was with Beyonce, I was like, yo, I got all these beats. I've been fucking rapping over this shit, which is so random. But I always loved rap. I was just always loved hip hop and shit. And I've been in music.
Got beats and
yeah,
I'm
I just
rapping.
got beats and I love rapping. So I'm like, all right, this is tight. And he was like, oh yeah, we should like rap over them. And then he like made me come over and show his girl and him my rap, which I was like, why is she fucking here, dog? Like it was
It's always supposed to be.
Yeah, he's like,
you.
come over and show me the music. I was like, all right, cool. I come over and it's just him and his girl sitting on the couch like a fucking like a debut of me like trying out like The Voice or some shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know her. They're married now and have a child, so
Amazing.
shout out to them and Ella. But so we rap. We started like, this is cool, and we start making music. Then we're like, let's make an EP together, and we started writing and recording an EP together. And we're like, we gotta record this shit somehow. We don't know how. And we heard about this dude named DJ 10 Point, who's like this kid who records in his house. He's got a studio set up and shit. And so I reached out to him. Honestly, I didn't know he was a kid at the time. I thought he was like 30 years old. So we go over to his house, and it's like this guy, like it's his dad's house. This kid's like mad young. He's like 19 at the time. We're like 22, 23. And he just brings us in, starts recording us. We start making music right away. The first time was cool. The second time he's like, yo, next time I'm going to charge you guys money. We're like, bro, here's a better idea. We're going to be famous, and you should be our DJ and our producer. And he's like, all right.
Deal. I'm in.
We did that shit, and then the next like 4 years of making music, this was going through college. So now I'm at the university. We started like putting our shit out there. We knew everyone, every bar. Like we would be out in the shit. Like everyone knew who me and Beyonce were just socially. Yeah. And then we were able to put our music out there in like a college atmosphere.
Oh, that's such a good market.
It was great.
Right?
It was great. Our first show was like our nightclub. No one did shows there ever. We like set up a thing inside of there and just packed the motherfucker out. And people were like, what the fuck is this? And then we started opening for artists. So then I'm opening for people like early on, like we opened up for fucking... Why can't I think of anyone?
I know MGK,
Machine Gun Kelly,
Hoodie Allen,
Time Flies. Shout out to Cal. We did J. Cole. We did Crit. We did Chance the Rapper. Fucking Slick the Rick. Slick the Ruler. We did fuck. Why can't I think of anyone that we played with? Dude, we opened up for Waka Flocka. We opened up for every major artist that would come through.
You were like the go-to
Midwest
guys if they're coming to the Midwest. And we need
or we
openers.
would be reaching out like, how can we get on this tour? How can we do this? How can we blah, blah, blah? And our whole goal was like, for me, I was like, we got to tour. Because I learned that early on, like touring, you meet new audiences. That's how you build up your following, all that shit. I'm like, we got to tour. But in the rap world, it was like, I'm looking up to people like Mac Miller and all these kids that are like figuring out how to do it in a similar world. And I'm like, how do we be like Chitty Bang? Or how do we do it like Wiz? Or how do we do it like Big Sean? I'm gonna try to emulate them in every way possible. I'm like, I lived on the blogs. I lived on there. I'm like, damn, how would people get in their music?
Good music all day.
Good music all day. I'm watching that.
Fresh
all
new
these people.
tracks.
Yep, all that shit. I'm like, how do we get on that stuff? We're emailing people all day. I'm trying to be the most courteous emailer on earth. Like, trust me, you want to give us a chance. Like, blah blah blah. But like, I did everything we could, and I knew we needed to leave. That was like the biggest thing in my head. So as we're getting out of college, we've played all these shows. We've done all this shit. We did this series called Our Way Monday, which was really dope. We did like a new song and video every Monday where we like flip a track. And then,
were you shooting the visuals too?
So yeah. So then this is where I start getting into the shit where I'm like directing all the videos and I'm literally editing. So not only am I writing, recording, and producing a song with Beyonce and Nate, then I'm shooting the videos or getting one of the homies to help shoot the videos. Shout out to Jimmy Gumble, Dusty Dink, all these people. And then we shoot these videos and I would turn around, edit them, and have it done by Monday, bro. So 7 days. And at this time, mind you, I'd lived, in different places throughout college and stuff, but I moved back to my parents' house. They built their house on the border of Waterloo and Cedar Falls.
Yep.
Move in there.
How far of a drive is this in between?
No, it's not far. It's like literally like you can get to Waterloo in 10 minutes.
But to the college.
Oh, college was. I lived in Cedar Falls. I lived like really close to the campus when I went there.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
after once I got done with school, I moved back to their house, which is embarrassing as fuck.
I got you.
Yeah, it was embarrassing as fuck at the time because then my friends were getting jobs, right?
That's tough, right?
That shit's
people. Oh, yeah, sorry, those cultures go everywhere. That's got to be tough because you're graduating, people are going to get jobs, they're getting their own apartments. You've been living on your own for 2 years, and now you're back.
And I'm moving home with no job, so I move home, and my theory is this: I worked at a bank. Nate was DJing and would like do random jobs. He'd like worked at a Mulligan. Shout out to Mulligan's. That shit's fucking got bomb ass wings.
Another advertising drop.
Yeah. Sorry guys. I've collected the check today. So he would work there. So and my theory was this: if I could be available to record and make music at any time of the day, if Nate wanted to come over before his shift at 4 p.m. or whatever, I had all day to work with Nate. And then if Bai wants to come when he gets off at the bank at 6, we got all night to work. And then I will go with Mark and Chuck and all my other homies that are still like some of my best friends in the world. All these people I made music with. So I tried to be as available as possible, which meant, all right, I live at home. I built a studio in this basement. Luckily, the basement is like the room that I built it in was the opposite side of the house of my family, so you could literally
they couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, it was fucking amazing. My parents were super down for it and helping, and so I'd be there, make music all the time, and then eventually it got to the point where I'm like, all right, cool, like we need to move, like we gotta go, and everyone else couldn't really do it. It's real life started happening. Bai has not only his girlfriend, but his family's got their whole situation. He's trying to help everyone. He's working full time at the bank. Nate's trying to figure out his work and shit. And I knew that we needed to go to LA. I was like, yo, I need to get out to LA. I've been there a couple of times. We toured there with my punk band, slept in fucking Santa Monica parking lot in the van.
Love it.
I have pictures of that shit. And I love California, and I've loved the idea of California. I love, as I'm in college, I'm like script writing. I'm fucking, getting into videos like super heavy throughout college, and obviously making our music videos and stuff. But I'm like, I always strive to like want to make more shit and figure out to live in that world. And that's all that seemed to matter to me was music and that. So as we get older, we like had an instance. This is great. So Marcus is at EA now, right? Mm-hmm. He hits me up and he's like, yo.
Is that in LA too?
Orlando.
Orlando.
So they have headquarters all over the place, but he's in Orlando. And he was working on Madden. He's like, yo, we do these videos every week where we call it Plays of the Week. And they'll basically like gamers would submit their videos of them doing dope shit in Madden. And they'll make a montage video. It's like 3 minutes of like banger clips of all-star plays that people did in the game. And then they'll put a song behind it. And he's like, yo, I'm going to put you guys behind it. No, actually, I lied. Sorry. That happens after. The first one was, I'm going to make the next Madden 25 trailer. The trailer of the game. Okay, so it's way bigger. I'm going to make the trailer of the game, and we're going to put your song behind it. And, like, we need a song. And so we're like, oh, shit. And I was just out in California visiting my homie Chuck, who I made music with. We heard about this. Me and Chuck flew back to Iowa and go to work on this song that we call Sidelines. The song's hard as fuck, to be honest with me. And so we started doing Sidelines. Record it. We literally make this song in like 2 days. We know this is going to be the song that goes to EA, and it's similar to like, it's got definitely that football vibe.
Yeah.
And submit it, and they love it. Like, he's like, yo, this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. This song's going to be fucking huge. Like, we're going to put this out. It's going to drop on ESPN. It's going to be on YouTube. Last time we did this, the YouTube video had millions of views. We're like, holy fucking shit. This is what we've been working for. This is
the moment we need.
Yeah, not only can we perform live, but we're also going to have the breakout, so everything should be seamless if we do blow up. If all of a sudden our Twitter gets 1 million followers, we're good. We're ready. We can hop on any tour.
Head go, baby.
We've been working on it. So, the day is coming out. We went out to our bars, like everything. We're like, yeah, shit's about to be crazy. Like, yo, low key, our song's about to be on ESPN.
Of course, you got a couple in.
Everybody, we're drinking we're fucking out.
I got this round. I got that round.
Super ham. And then the next day, it doesn't fucking drop. It drops with another video, or the video drops. Same video. I've seen it already. I saw the rough cut. It drops that same video, except this time it's like some fucking country song loop. That's just like, and I'm like, what the fuck? I call Marcus, and Marcus is like, yo, at the time, he's not where he is right now. It was his boss at the time was like, walked in, watched the video, and was like, actually, let's switch it out for this song. And just switched it real quick, and it's just like some random like fucking temp music guitar loop. Yeah. So I think this vibe works better. And then Marcus can't do anything about it, so he has to flip the song. That was devastating. So we we thought that was it.
Yeah.
It was about to be it. That video gets mad views too,
Yeah.
with some dumbass country song. Our song was literally catered to the video.
Yeah.
And that was it. And like, it was a blow for all of us, because we're like, fuck. And so now everyone's kind of looking at like, damn, well, all right, we got a show coming up. Let's start working on the show. No one's really inspired anymore. We're all really kind of fucked up about it.
You got so hyped thinking like this was was gonna be it.
Yeah, you hear about Lil Wayne finding Drake. He takes him on the road with him. Drake turns it into Drake. You hear about these situations all the time.
Yeah,
we're like, maybe this is our alternative route. You know what I mean? Maybe EA is gonna find us, pull us in, and then maybe this will get in the game and blah blah blah. This will be crazy. Doesn't work. So we get back to whatever. We slowly get back into making music again. We're like making shit. We booked this show at home. It was going to be big, and then we had another show at Iowa State University. We were going to play there, and we're preparing for the shows, and Marcus hits me again. Yo, I have this other video that I'm going to drop, and I could put you guys a song behind it, but I need a song about like something similar.
Specific.
Like, can you write something like this? And I was like, fuck, all right, cool. Let me figure it out. And I try to bring it to the guys. I'm like, yo, should we do this? And everyone's like, yo, like, we did all that shit last time. It didn't even work. Like, maybe Marcus just doesn't have the pull right now. We should just focus on. We have these 2 shows. We can make like $1,000 from these 2 shows. Yeah, we could buy gear with that. So we're like, let's just focus on the shows. And he's like, and when Marcus told me, he's like, I can either put your song in or this guy. And he like sent me a song. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but we can kill this shit. And then we were both like, yo, we low key can't do it within our time frame because we had these 2 shows tomorrow. We're rehearsing, whatever. The next day, the video drops with the other guy's song on it. So he was right. He could have either had ours or that. And that video gets mad views. Mad views. And I'm like, fuck, we just missed this opportunity. So whatever, we keep making music, play shows. And then, sorry, my storytelling is fucking
I love it. That's what the podcast is all about,
okay,
dude. You know how this
sorry
works.
if I'm boring everyone.
Nah.
Next time he hits me, yo, this is like, we've been working on original music at this point. We did the Our Way Monday thing. We basically made a new song and video every week for like 15 weeks or something. Like, something like a long time. And it was sick because it didn't get like mad views. It wasn't getting like, a couple thousand views per video, but it was like local views. So when we played the next show, our city went fucking banana. Our local venue sold that shit out. It was sold out, line around the building, 1 in 1 out forever. Sold out. Like, we've never done that before. We made like $3,000 that night. We're like,
let's go.
And I mean, it was fucking sick. We got streamers. We turned the whole venue into our party. And made it a fucking night to remember. Like, we had bands. We had fucking CO2 spraying everywhere. We had fucking silly string and all this crazy shit.
Because this isn't your first time running a show.
No, we do shows. We're like, all right, cool.
Up.
Yeah, we're gonna show out for this. And then after that, we got the money. And what do we do when something's working? Stop. We never made another Our Way Monday video.
Way. That was the last one.
Yeah, because we think, oh, cool, we got $3,000. Let's buy this audio recorder, this interface thing, and let's start making our EP. Let's make original music so we can sell it. Because we can't sell any of the remixes. So we're like, let's do this. So start working so heavy on that. And that's just like this long process. And then all of a sudden you get another EA hit up, and he hits me up and he tells me about that. We're going to do these Play of the Weeks videos. Can you do a song? And I'm like, tell everyone, yo, boom, 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 let's go to my homie Chuck's house. Let's record this real quick. Then no one came. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like, they were all busy. And it was like, the EA thing became like the last thing that we cared about because it just didn't work.
Disappointing. It kept not being the thing.
But I saw it worked for that other guy. So I'm like, nah, dude, I think we got to keep sending them shit just in case. Like, what if one pops? So then I ended up writing a song and we put it out, and that's like my first time putting it out as BenRealVsWorld by myself. So then we
that's where the name came from.
Yeah, well, yeah, we started like at one point we were told like you can't just rap underneath Ben and Buy. You need like stage names. So then I'm like, what the fuck should my stage name be? And it was like we both did Bobbbaaaay raps and BenReal raps. Yeah. And then I was like, I kind of hate that though, because I also do video shit. So I'm like, I don't want to just be that. Then I was like, all right. And when that shit started happening, I realized I'm like kind of it's always me against the world. My old bands, something happens, we break up, it's no longer there anymore. All these things kind of happen. No one wants to come over here and this is my song. It's always me versus the world. It's always a very big challenge that I've always had to face and figure out how to pull it off on my own. I felt like I was a heavy lifter. And no shame to my group at all, you know what I mean? But because everyone had they had fucking real jobs and shit, and they had to pay for shit. And like I luckily had my house and I could stay for free, which I would just, if I needed to pay my bills, I would go shoot some random ass video. You know what I mean?
And you also too, there was one point you were doing like videos for, I think it was Google, right? So that was some money you were making as a Google tour photographer or something.
Yeah. So basically, So the EA thing pops off, right?
Yeah.
I get a song and it actually works. I'm like, oh shit, it gets like a couple, like maybe 400,000 views. I'm like, that's crazy,
That's
yo.
great.
My song just hit.
That's great.
So we start seeing that. We're like, all right, cool. Let's start doing that. Maybe we can do this shit. And then I'm telling the guys, and like the next one comes. No one's really jumping on it. I did another one, and then I'm like, okay, so maybe we need to do our own solo things as well as have the group, because in my mind, you know, I followed Chitty Bang. Do you ever hear them?
Yeah.
So they split, you know what I mean? And then it's like Zafoon Jones goes off and does his own thing. He would produce all music, and Chitty was a rapper. But they split, and it's kind of weird, and it like fell off, and like no one really knew them as individuals before that. They were just a group. So I'm like, we need to be individuals, because if I have to do the song for EA, cool, I'll do it. And then if I get clout, we get clout.
I'll put you on. We all go out together.
Exactly. So cool. We kind of moved like that. We got hit up by Time Flies. That they're like they were doing like their own type of remix type shit too. They're in the pop world, but he kind of rapped too, and he's like a pretty dude, so a lot of girls loved him. He had a huge fan base. It was crazy. And like we opened for them as Schooled. Our hip hop group's name was Schooled. We called it Schooled Life.
I love it.
We were schooled by life. And when we played with them, we did 3 shows in Illinois, Iowa, and they were the craziest shows of our lives. It taught us how to perform. We ended up buying like it changed our whole life. We opened up for 1,000 people, first time, sold out show. All 98% females.
Yeah. So they were eating it up.
They thought we were just as big as these guys.
Time Flies.
Yeah. So we come out and we own that shit. We come out like, "What's up, Iowa?"
Yeah.
Even though we live fucking an hour from you.
you.
I've been to Des Moines so many times. Like,
Yeah.
but we came out, we owned that shit. The next show is like 800 in Illinois. Never performed there before. That was amazing. Then you go back to Iowa. We play the last one in a 450 person venue. This is where I saw Big Sean play. I've seen everyone play at this venue. Sold out, oversold out. Had like 600 people in there. The girls were literally spilling onto the stage. Like there was girls on their knees just chilling, like dancing up front while we're rapping, fucking going ham. Insane. I learned so much from them. They're coming. All right, so then that was a while back.
Yeah.
They come back again. They're playing my university. They're playing 2 shows in my hometown at my personal university and Iowa State, which is like 2 hours from me. Yo, we want School to play at these shows. And at the time, I was already doing the solo thing. School wasn't really playing shows. And I was like, fuck, man. Like, I feel like it's weird because it's a schooled relationship that I spent a lot of time developing personally with like the singer, right? So like I became good friends with him, and he hit us up, and I'm like, I don't want to, we could play at Schooled and just play old songs, but I've been really focused on my solo shit, making a solo project. It would help me right now to, instead of bringing like something that hasn't been moving for a while, I should do this shit. Yeah. So I had to like talk to my guys and be like, yo, is this cool if I play this show solo? Because I'm still the only, like I'm currently active and Schooled is not active, and it would help me proceed. And like, instead of, you know, I need to do this. Anyway, they say yes. I tell those dudes, they're all down for it. And I play my first solo show in my hometown to like 1,500 or
my God,
2,000 people. It was like
crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was insane. I was terrified. I literally am walking up.
How old are you at the time of this? 23, 24?
Yeah, probably like 24.
That's a great age to be really like rocking it like that.
But I went out like, so mind you, we made that decision not to do Schooled 10 days before the show. And I, as BenRealVsWorld, did not have any projects out. I had like parts of songs. We literally like hot glued songs together to like form a set that seamlessly, like I told you, I like to put on a show. Yeah. So our show was structured in that way, but on top of it, I'm literally taking like a verse from a school song that I did before with the new verse and one of my new songs and like rapping them. They might not even really make sense.
Combining it though.
Yeah, but we formed a show, and I had to do that in 10 days. My mom got her cancer back in the same period of time. She had breast cancer when I was really young, like 3rd, 4th grade, and then her breast cancer came back. So they tell me this shit while I'm in the middle of working on the set. So now I have that on top of trying to prepare for this solo show, which is like the biggest moment of my life. And somehow we did it. Like we did a 30-minute set solo. It was cool because I got to bring out Schooled. So they came out, like Beyonce came out and performed 2 of the songs with me as like a feature or whatever. I had like a dude that was dancing at the time, K Rhythms. He came out and danced and fucked it up. And like my mom was right there in the crowd to see the show, and I got everyone to yell "fuck cancer" for my mom.
Wow.
Like it was like the crazy shit. But walking up the very beginning of the show, we shut the lights off. We had this whole intro sound. My friend Chuck's like playing the keys. I have drums. I literally was playing drums during the shit. Like I'm walking up.
Doing it
I
all,
cannot
bro.
remember.
Did you shoot your own video too while you were up there?
No, but I had my squad. I had the shit, so I have all the footage. But I'm walking up to the shit, and I literally cannot think of the first words of this first song, and I'm like terrified. And as soon as I grab the mic, it like came to my
just
head and
came
I
right
fucking
to you.
killed it.
Yeah.
And then the next show we played was like a smooth sailing after that. No nerves, nothing anymore. Like I opened up that show. There was like 3,000 people. Fucking killed it. I had everyone in the crowd with their phones out. And I did this song for my mom. And I had a wave. It was insane. Like,
yeah.
I've never seen some
I
shit
think
like
I've seen that
bro.
picture before. There's like a picture of you from behind or
Yeah.
something.
If you go to my Facebook, if you find my Facebook, my banner is me and Chuck standing there flipping off the camera and everyone's saying fuck cancer behind me. Like everyone in the whole crowd is saying fuck cancer. And I got them to cheer that shit on video. It was crazy, bro. It was such a time. But that's when I was like, all right, I got to go to California, at least by myself. Like I just got to send it and do it. I had a connection.
You had spent enough time in the Midwest creating, getting things going. I need to move to where everything's happening.
Yeah. And to do that, I knew I needed a budget. It was like, that was very important. That was something we were learning as we made music. Like we need budgets to get into the studios that we want to get into, and we need budgets to travel and make connections and all this shit.
Money to do any of this stuff.
But that's news to me. Like I'm learning like, fuck,
Yeah.
you're right. We do need money. We do need to like buy certain things. That's why the show was cool, because we made money and this and that. So I got the job doing the Google photography thing. That was random as fuck. But at the time, I was kind of like, I'd shoot like a real estate thing or whatever. And I started getting into drones. And so I was like, oh, maybe I can make money, like, you know, doing real estate videos. And like I hit up my friend Dolly. He's like runs the whole town now, basically. But he had a real estate shit, and he's like, yo, have you ever heard of this Google photography thing? And I was like, no. He sent me a link, and I signed up. And then like 6 months later, they hit me up, and I faked like a resume, like I was a photographer, but I technically I only call myself a video guy then. Yeah. Even though I did shoot, I worked at like a music venue doing photos and stuff, but I just thought, nah, I'm a video guy. I bought this DSLR for videos, but I faked a resume like a photographer and got a job doing this shit where I had to like form an LLC. It forced me into a business. I had to buy business insurance. I had to buy all this right gear to shoot these 360. Basically, you know, Google Maps, how you can like do 360 view.
So, but it's for a business, right?
It's for the business. So the idea is you could go off the street into the business and see it, which is really fucking tight.
It's a great idea.
Early
Great
VR shit. It's dope. It's still effective as fuck. I use it to like, if me and Lauren are gonna go somewhere for a date or some shit, I'm like, oh yeah, this spot's a vibe. Like,
I know exactly. I've been here before. Now that I walked through it on Google Maps.
That's the idea. So I basically did that, and I'm like, all right, got all this shit, spent like $1,500 on all the stuff I needed, and I was like, all right, money's about to pour in, and then no one's hit me up, and I'm like, god damn it, what the fuck? I thought everyone would know, like, I'm here. Yeah. I made one Facebook post. How come no one's calling me?
Everybody's supposed to be calling me for the business.
So so then I learned, oh, you have to you have to sell this shit. So then now I have to be a salesman. So imagine me in my hometown performing and selling out like my local venue, and then having to go to the boutique children's clothing store the next day, next door, trying to sell them a package on fucking Google photography.
Oh man.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But
humility.
I figured it out though, and I started finding a way to like make it make sense to people to want to buy it in like a non-aggressive way where I'm like, I really don't give a fuck if you don't buy this shit. I'm just trying to like get some money for my ideas. And then, but the way I would sell it, people would be like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense for my business. I started stacking up, and I'm like, all right, cool. I just need to have this camera, this lens, this drone, this Ronin. If I get all these things, I can move to California with this much this much money in my wallet. And I stacked it up, and in the time I set for myself, I got the money I wanted. Moved to LA. My homie Craig let me crash at his house. I stopped doing the Google. I did it like kind of in LA sometimes, randomly trying to, but I was more focused on like being there. But
I think a couple things I want to point out is that first time that you came to LA, you ended up in Travis Barker's personal studio. So that's like iconic.
Yes.
And then there's another second trip. You come
out.
Where'd
you hear that from?
Don't worry, I did my research. Then there's a second trip. You come out to LA, and you end up being on Chris Brown's music video shoot. So it's like you're coming out here on these getting little tastes of like what this city has to offer. Yeah. And then I think there was a third opportunity that you had missed, which was to be on set for an Ariana Grande shoot, which I imagine it's like you see two things that you get to experience while being in LA. Then you miss the Ariana Grande. You're probably relating it back to missed opportunities like growing up 100%. Or some of like the things that you've had to give up on. But when you're finally making this move to LA, you have your equipment, you have some money stacked in your pocket. What's going through your head? Are you nervous? Do you think this is for sure the place you need to be? Because that's always such a big move for people to finally make the leap to come out to Los Angeles, California, one of the most competitive cities in the world. Although it's beautiful from the outside looking in, there's just it's a madness here.
Yeah, and it's actually low-key trash here.
Yeah. Don't go to Hollywood.
Yeah, I live there. It's to me it was like I knew, but taking those random trips, like, you know,
It kept pulling you.
yeah, like the first time I said, me and Chuck were in LA and we flew back to make Sidelines. I was in Travis' studio 2 days before we came back to LA to work on this shit. So I'm in Travis Barker's personal studio with like his photographer at the time or something.
Wow.
Like playing his drums, yo. I didn't ask for permission from him to do that shit, but I was in there doing that shit. Low key, now he follows me on Instagram, so it's lit.
Let's go.
But at the time, we're in there, and I'm seeing this, and I'm meeting creative people. Chuck, my homie Chuck, he's like been making my music with me for a long time. He is also like my mentor forever. He had lived out there for a while at my homie Craig's house, and so he was like, you know, kind of opening me up to like, trust me, there's opportunity out here. And when I'm there, we're seeing it, we're meeting people, we go to the studio, I see Travis shit, I'm like, this is so inspiring. I go home, tell everyone back home, like, yo, we were just in this motherfucker's studio. He's in Blink-182. He's like this legend, bro. Like he's super, you know, why was I in that studio? And I've only been out there for a week. Like I got in there. And then the next time I go back out is for my friend's birthday. She's like one of my best friends. Her boyfriend at the time was my homie Andrew Sandler. Andrew flew me out to LA. He as a gift to his best friend, to my best friend and his girlfriend. Flies me out to see her, and in exchange he's like, you can come to set with me and like repay me by working on set, which is gonna be dope for you because you'll get to see what it's like to be on set. And then from there I did a rehab video that he directed, which is like a DJ who had a bunch of hot fucking Instagram model girls like boxing in the water. It got like 100 million views.
No big deal.
It was a cool first time being on set.
Something light.
Yeah. And then the second day was Chris's video with 7th Streeter, Chris Brown. And so when I was there for that, I was just supposed to be a fly on the wall. He's like, yo, this one, the first video was cool. He's like, come up on the monitor, sit in the director's chair. Yeah, I see all this shit. Like, you're my boy. The second one was like, yo, this is a way bigger production. Just chill. I want you to like experience this from like afar, but like get to see what it's like to be here. So I finessed a way to shoot behind the scenes for that day. And I went from fly on the wall to being like literally like this with Chris, asking like, yo, can you talk about the day and all this shit, which was crazy for me. And I don't know what I'm not a BTS guy, like, but I knew how to fucking shoot shit, and I knew what I would want if I was an artist making my music video.
See all these little pieces.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, you had the perspective of being the artist.
Fuck yes.
You knew exactly what
100%. And I'm still making music at the time. I remember saying when I moved out to LA, or before I moved out to LA, like, man, when we go out there, we can build all these relationships. And the idea is like, for me, when I got there, I'm like, even if I'm doing video or music, my whole goal is to just build my platform to have my voice. Whatever I feel like is important, I want my voice to be heard. Yeah. That's my idea. So it happened to be video. I got there and got to work doing that and the BTS thing, and then I went back home. And then, like you said, Ariana Grande thing, Andrew's directing some tour visuals for her. He's like, yo, we need you here tomorrow. Can you do this BTS shit? Like, you killed the last one. And I'm like, no. I can't afford, like, fuck. That's when I kicked my ass into gear and started making the money from Google shit and got out there. But I just knew how important it was to be there. And I'm thinking, like, man, I was, like, that close to Chris Brown. He's, like, one of the biggest pop stars in the world. And that's so wild. Yeah. And then I'm like, what if he became my friend someday? Then I could have him on my album. You know what I mean? In my perfect world. I'm like, what if he became a... like, as you build... But now it's, like, low-key. Like, honestly, the way I built my relationships with people, like, I have nothing to lose besides my whole intention is to be a good person. Like, I just want to be respectful as fuck and make great content and work in the power of making good shit. You know what I mean? Making money is cool on top of that, and building relationships and building, like, true value that I can supply to not only the artist but to the people that care about the artist or whatever. That's key to me. Yeah. So it's like now it's like I hit Chris up if I need to hit Chris up. Like I can hit like Q up if I want it. So like all these people, I don't know. It's that's important to me. Not that I'm trying to make a fucking mixtape yet.
But talk to me about how important that is, because as we were talking about before the podcast, as a concept that I understand, that you understand. The people that get it, but how important is it to give value to people and to help them in every way possible? How does that ultimately get you that Chris Brown's in your phone and you have all these amazing things that people have seen you've done in the last couple of years?
To me, when I decided to move, it was because I knew Andrew, because Andrew had me on his music video set months before, and my homie Craig, shout out to Craig. Craig had a house. He let me sleep on the floor there, so that's where I parked my air mattress. I knew when I got there, I was like, I need to make stuff. And when I got to Craig's house, they were like doing their shit, and there wasn't anything for me to really do there. I was like finishing some random ass documentary I was making in Iowa, like when I moved to LA. And then Andrew came back from a trip, and he was like, yo, I'm back, let's link up. So we met. I link up with him and Taylor Cut Films. You know who that is?
Oh yeah, I think I know who that is.
Yeah, he goes that Taylor Cut Films on
definitely
Instagram.
Came across his work. Yeah.
So link up with them. We have dinner. The next day he's like, yo, come to the office tomorrow. I'm working on Chris's doc. You should check out like what I've edited so far in the documentary. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we come with him, and we sit in, and he's playing the first like 2 minutes of like what he laid out, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like, so you're directing Chris's doc, like you could do whatever you want. This is your movie, right? I'm like, how crazy would it be if we took Chris to fucking the Grove, but we brought some kid that got bullied in school and let him mob through the Grove and buy shit with Chris, or ride bikes through there and like feel the chaos of what it's like to be a superstar and make him feel like a legend. So when he goes back to school, the people that bullied him are fuckboys now, and like that's sick. Like we could do, the possibilities are endless. And what if you did this? And I just start throwing out my fucking ideas, and then Andrew's like, yo, come back tomorrow. So I start coming back the next day. Then I'm coming back the next day. And then he brings me in. He's like, all right, yo, you should like assistant edit this with me. And so I'm like, oh, cool. I could be an AE. Like I don't know what the fuck that means, but like, I'm sure if we film something, I'll organize it and I'll edit whatever. So I started doing that. And then, I end up co-editing the documentary with him. Like I got my edit or my credit on that documentary as a co-editor. Me and Andrew co-edited it. He directed it. Riveting produced it. And
what was the title of that doc? Was Welcome to My Life, right? Yeah, Welcome to My Life, Chris Brown.
Yeah.
You can get that on Netflix,
iTunes, all that shit. It's everywhere. Yeah, it's crazy. It premiered like in theaters, literally, I think like 450 theaters in the U.S. For one night only. They did like a show. It was kind of tight. Like you had to
get there and see it, or that's it.
Yeah, and then due to popular demand, we brought it back the next week. Same thing, and fucking crushed that. And then they brought it to like Mexico. They brought it to Europe in theaters there. Some random spots, and then they premiered it on Netflix.
What do you think was the biggest hurdle that you faced on producing that or editing that?
Everything was a hurdle, bro. Because like again, to go back to your question earlier, you were talking about elevating the artists that you work with, right?
Yeah. Adding value that you can.
100%. That's the best thing you can do if you're even if you're at the top. The best thing you can do is add value to the people you're with. That should always be your goal as a creator. And to me, when I got to there, my idea was like, yo, if I can make Andrew the shit, then he'll get more work. And when he gets more work, he can keep like having me come around. And then who knows where that goes. So my idea was like, if I can make Andrew the best director on this documentary possible by anything I can do, that's a fucking win. Like, I need to do that. All right, cool. So I'm going to be here every day. I never asked about money. Like, it was never that. Andrew was like, oh, shit. Like, because they had already done their budgeting. They didn't plan for a random Ben to just pop into LA and be down to be there every day. So it wasn't like I was making money on that fucking whole documentary.
Yeah.
So,
but you seized the opportunity. You realized I need to capitalize on this moment. I need to fucking kill this.
And I created my budget. I had my budget. My whole intention with my budget was if I move to LA, I'm going to give it 3 months. If I blow through all my money, I move back home. I start over. So what? Like, it's a gamble. That's why you go to the casino. You're trying to win. So I came to LA, was willing to lose all my money. So I was spending my own money to Uber from the Valley all the way over to Wilshire to go to the riveting office and then hop in with Andrew. I spend every day buying my own lunches, doing all this shit. Like, Andrew would take care of me too. He'd like go out and buy lunches for me and, have my back on everything. He would let me take, like, we would literally drive to his house on Sunset, and then I would take his car back to the Valley. So I'm driving a Beamer through the Hollywood Hills to get over to the Valley, feeling like a legend. You know what I mean?
Going on Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, to go sleep on an air mattress with fucking gum packed into the holes. And it was crazy because you just have to figure out, like, how am I going to make this work? But then by being there, by default, like, I would showcase my skill set. They don't know who I am, so I'm like, all of a sudden I'm flying drones. I meet like their artist Cal Scroobies on the rooftop. So I take Cal up to the roof. I'm like, let's do this drone shot. So I'm flying this drone on this building that's like 20 stories high, getting this crazy shot. And they're like, what the fuck, that's crazy. So then the next thing, hey, can you do that drone shit for this music video? And then all of a sudden I'm doing drone shots in Chris Brown's music videos. I'm sitting in on the edits, then I'm like co-editing the music videos, and then all of a sudden I'm working, I'm start doing all kinds of shit. And then the doc's getting done. Now we're doing Mary J. Blige's documentary. Damn. So I'm shooting her doc with my homie Alex. He DP'd both Chris's doc and Mary's doc for us.
Wow.
And Lewis Howe's doc. And so, we're shooting. I'm with Mary J. Blige. I'm like, this is crazy. And that all just happened from me progressing and finding my way in there, which changed the game. But the only way it worked was me providing value to them. I'm like, how can I make this me provide value to who I'm around?
Yeah.
And then whatever I get back in return, it is what it is. I learned that early on. I read that in a book somewhere. I don't remember what book it was.
Yeah. I mean, that's important because that's the way you get into the right relationships. You get into the right opportunities because you're just like, I'll do whatever I have to do to help. And if you need me to do this, I can do that.
Yeah.
Or, but sometimes, as we were talking about earlier, it's just people. It's like we all want to make a living doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You got to understand that there's a million other people trying to do that. And the best way for you to stand out is by literally jumping on board and doing it and giving people as much as you can and just kind of in the back of your mind, just know it eventually is going to pay off.
Yeah.
It eventually is going to cut it's like putting good energy into the world. It eventually is going to come back to you if you keep consistently doing it. People take note of that. They're like, damn, this guy actually did this for me. Or he made that video, or he came out and helped out when we didn't have a budget for him. It's like people pay attention to that shit, and it means something.
It's so true. And if you, I don't know. Yeah, you have to live by that. I think that's the only way it works. Because there's like you said, there's millions of people that want to do this shit. Yeah. There's a reason why people listen to this podcast. There's a reason people listen to my podcast. There's a reason why I get DMs every day about fucking making video content for a living and shit. It's people want to do this. So you're going against all the other kids and adults, whatever you want to call it, that are willing to go out and do everything for free. That's fine. But that fucks up a lot of shit, because then you have artists that get used to that. So when they come back and they're like, oh, we want this talented person, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I need money for this because I do this for a living. Well, shit, we got this from whoever. You get in that whole situation. That's a mess too. But in the midst of it, all that matters is providing your insight and your value. And if you can get 5% of that back, it's a win. You might not. I could give it to you all day. You might not ever give me anything back. That's totally cool. Yeah. But you might help Boom, who then turns around and helps me with something, and that's cool. Or maybe it doesn't even happen. Nothing has to matter. A thank you is dope. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool, because that person's just gonna respect you for whatever it is. Like, I don't know how many times I've done random shit that's not like, how I'm gonna go do this tomorrow, and what is this ever gonna bring back to me? Like, this person does something that's a completely different industry. You never know, though. You know what I mean? You never know who that person knows.
After the Mary J. Blige doc, you ended up doing the EA Sports thing with Little Dicky, Gronk, Von Miller, Antonio Brown. This is your first experience as being a director, and I would imagine at that level of production, it's some real shit. Yeah. How do you keep yourself grounded and not get overwhelmed or anxious with finally getting a big opportunity to direct something, and you want to make sure you execute it correctly?
I was anxious the whole fucking time.
The whole time.
but I had Andrew.
Love the honesty.
Andrew produced it for me. So Andrew was like, what do you need? What is creative, and what do you need? Like, focus on the creative, and I'll take care of all the other shit. And so I was just, it was actually crazy, because Marcus hit me about it and was like, yo, which is funny, because, like, think about how bad.
How many times has he been hitting you up?
Yeah, and so he's like, yo.
Here he comes again.
He's overseeing this content. We need some shit from Madden. We got these things happening on this day. Can you do it? Like, I believe that you could do it. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, but do I need, like, a reel or something? Like a director's reel? Because I haven't really, like, technically, like, I've directed a bunch of shit. It's never been for, like, a big artist. Like, I know I work with them, but I'm editing. I'm not, like, director or whatever. And he's like, dog, I already know I'm the person that has to say yes. I already know you're good, so you're good. And I'm like, all right. Cool. So they're like, here's a shit ton of money. You know what I mean? Go figure it out. And I'm freaking out, because it's like five days till we had to shoot or something. Wow. And that's like full creative, get creative approved, work with Dickie on it, because Dickie was kind of like the star of the shit. And then we had to work with the player schedules and stuff. And it was just so much shit to think about. Like, I have my old notes, like all my ideas and shit on paper. Like, I keep it in a box. But it's like all that shit from that day was just like, bro,
all over the place.
Yeah, and it was insane. So I had to figure out how to make sure we deliver what EA wanted in a timely manner. Like, we had, like, it was like a 12-hour day, but they wanted basically like one key video, which is online. It's called Mean Guys. That's like the first video we put out, which is like Lil Dicky sitting down with Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, and Von Miller, and he's basically like playing Madden with each of them. But he's like talking shit about how other players were talking shit about these players. So he's like trying to turn them all against each other, but he wants to be like the cool guy. It's like really funny. And so he's just sitting there like, oh, hey, so yeah, I was chilling with like Von Miller earlier, and he was saying that you're like low-key trash, like forward or whatever the fucking position they were or something. Like, really? He said that? He's like, yeah, I don't know what's up with that guy. And then it cuts to like the next one. He's like, yeah, so this person was saying that. He's just like,
keeps cutting back and forth.
Some mean girl shit. And so we did that. That was like one asset. But then on top of it, that's like what EA wanted. I then gave them like 4 of those videos. Like, we shot with the time that we had with these people. I like multitasked out the day and was able to get all this bite-sized content, all these pieces, all this shit, and provide them with so much more value than what they had planned for that day, and just killed it. And that got them hyped on me. The content came out, it did really well on the internet, and that was like my first time doing it. But like, getting home after that whole day, like, I got a studio apartment. With that money, I got the studio apartment. Yeah. My first time moving out of fucking being on a couch and all that shit. I just go back to my studio apartment, which was furnished. None of that shit was mine. I just, like, my closet was my clothes, and I just, like, laid in the bed and was just like, fuck. Like, I remember that. I remember laying there and the way you feel, man. Like, when you finally, that felt like I was doing it right. Like, something happened where it was me. It was in my court. Someone respected me for my vision. It was all mine, and it worked. I paid people. I got to put money in people's pockets. You know what I mean? And make a product that millions of people would see. And like, fuck, that's what I've been wanting. And I just like laid there, like literally, I felt like I got hit by a car because I was so tired.
Yeah, tired and probably mentally drained, but also like just that reflection of like, I moved out here with no idea where this place was gonna take me. And then I'm sleeping on an air mattress in somebody's house to now I'm sleeping in my own studio, and I just directed my own production. Like, that's literally like, Ben, you need to just fucking keep going to this point. Like, something bigger is going to end up happening for you.
Honestly, I think that same night too, I think me and Andrew, I lay there for a while and I was like, oh shit, this is great. And I think me and Andrew, because the house is fucking funny. It was the house behind the Comedy Store on Sunset, which is like the most famous house. Like, Robin Williams used to live there. All these people live there. So the house is like set up where it's like a studio apartment, a house, like whatever. But it was all of our friends that consumed the whole compound.
Amazing.
So I had the studio, and Andrew was like, yo, let's go to this club down the street, Chateau Marmont. He's like, let's go here. It's like some bougie ass fucking spot. And our friend Anthony was working the door, so he's like, he'll let us in. We can get some drinks for free. I'm like, swag.
I'm down.
It's a victory lap. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this was. I think it was a victory for this, or it might have been for another doc or something. I don't know what it was. We walked down. I remember like Andrew's just like, yo, this is Ben. You did this, whatever. And we're meeting some people. We walk in. We're on our way to the bar to get the drinks, and Anthony is like walking in. He starts talking to this guy, and we're like kind of waiting because it's packed. And like, I'm not trying to go to the bar around him because he's about to buy the drinks. And so we're waiting, and I hear him talking to this guy, and it was over some shoes. He had like these shoes on. He's like, dog, these shoes are fucking sick. Like, I've been looking for a pair of those. And I look at the shoes, and they're these ratty ass old like PF Flyers or something, like some random ass sneaker.
Yeah. And
I was like, I turned to Andrew. I remember like being like, man, this is some LA shit that like Anthony's like talking to this guy about these torn up shoes. And low key, I'm looking at the guy that's in the club, and he, or whatever you want to call Chateau Marmont. I don't know if it's a nightclub or
bar or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's all the same
He's
shit.
like wearing like a old looking sweater, like thrift shop style, with some jeans, these torn up shoes, and he's got this big ass beard. And I'm like, what is Anthony's just randomly making friends with everyone. Like, this dude, like, kind of see, how did he get in here? Like, I don't even know how I got in here because I don't have nice clothes and shit. And my, you know, I've been wearing the same shoes, but I'm like, how did I get in this club? And how did this fucking guy get in this club? Like, big ass, like, mangly beard, and his fucking clothes look old as shit, and his shoes are torn up literally. But they're like, yeah, man, I was trying to find some, and I found some. The guy that was talking to him was like, and I bought 30 of them. And he's like, man, I gotta find something like that. He's like, yeah, dude, definitely. And they're like, let's exchange numbers. And they become friends. And he's like, oh, these are my friends over here. This is Andrew and Ben. Andrew did Chris Brown's documentary. Like, Ben edited with him. Ben just did the EA thing, whatever. And he's like, oh, great. And he starts talking to us. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm Donald. And he starts shaking Andrew's hand, and then he goes to introduce himself. He's like, I'm Donald. And as I'm like shaking his hand, I'm realizing that I'm talking to Donald Glover, Childish Gambino.
No way.
And I didn't realize, like, in the moment, bro, I'm like, I'm shaking his hand like, bro, I thought you were homeless. Like, I literally thought you were a homeless person as I was shaking his hand. And it like, I stripped the beard away, and I realized, I'm like, you're like one of my favorite artists. Like, you're one of the inspirations behind. I just did a one take contest. Like, current day right now, we just did the Black with No Cream first contest ever. It was a one take contest, and I use him as an example because when he did Freaks and Geeks, it's a one take music video, and it's like fucking, I watched that shit a million times because it's so simple but so appealing. Yeah. And I'm sitting there meeting this motherfucker like, what the fuck?
Especially because it's somebody that you're relating to in the sense of like an all-around creative. Yeah, and then you can't put this guy in a box.
No, and then I'm meeting him, and then Andrew's like, oh yeah, and you know, Andrew connects it to someone like, oh yeah, I think you worked with one of our producers, blah blah blah, in this music video, like we did this together. He's like, oh yeah, and then we start talking about it. And he's like, I did Chris Brown's documentary. He's like, of course you did, and like whatever. The conversation was really cool, and he's like, we'll have to have you come by and check out the screen. And he's like, I'd love to. I'm going to Atlanta. We're filming the show Atlanta. That's whatever. I'm doing that tomorrow, so I'm gonna be there. But then we're like linking about it, and I was just sitting there like, that's some fucking LA shit. And that goes back to what we were talking about, because at any given moment, you can go to the Starbucks and meet this person. You could do whatever. You can walk into some bar and meet a homeless guy that ends up being Childish Gambino. That's how fucking wild LA is. And that's why I know I can't have my podcast exist in Iowa.
He has to be in LA.
You know what I mean?
Because this is where the place, this is where the dots connect. This is
that
where
shit was
is.
That was the energy. Like, you get done, you feel this fucking wave of accomplishment happen. And then one step higher, you go and meet an icon like that or something. It has nothing to do with it at all. But just like, that day is just like iconic to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just be like, fuck, that shit's.
And those are like the moments that remind you of how appreciative you have to be just to be out here. Because there might have never been anything that came of just meeting Donald Glover, but just knowing that you're in the right place. Yeah. This is where this shit's happening. Right. something's gonna full circle.
Right.
Something's gonna happen eventually.
I mean, that was just another kick, bro. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was all worth it. And then to meet him and to him be like, yo, you guys are awesome. Keep going. Like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Like, I shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be here. Like, that's what's weird. Every time I'm in a situation, I'm like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Why am I here right now?
It's a good. I think it's just like the humbleness, you know. Like even when you get big opportunities, you're just reminding yourself probably like, yeah, I've been putting the work, but I don't know. I try to treat it like that too, where it's like I don't deserve it, but I do. You know, like I don't ever let something make me feel better than anybody else, and I also don't let it like grow my ego.
Right.
I just use it as like a domino effect. I'm like, I need to use this to get me something to do this, then to do that. But I think some people then they become, oh, I'm fucking cool and I've done this and that. Yeah. But there's definitely just a way to communicate it and not be a dick about it, you know?
Yeah. Those people are the worst.
Yeah, honestly, I hate them. Schoolboy Q Blank-Faced Worldwide Tour. What's interesting about this, though, is that 2 years prior, you almost get this opportunity to go on tour with TDE, and it doesn't happen, falls through. TDE, if anybody's listening, it's Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q, J-Rock, Absol, whole squad of people. SZA. But fast forward, so you go on tour with Schoolboy Q, Blank-Face Tour, Worldwide Tour. You go U.S., Europe, Iceland, Australia, Canada.
Yeah.
There wasn't much. What I thought about was interesting listening to a previous podcast you had done was that you talk about how there wasn't much of a budget for it, but yet you still jumped on board. Mm-hmm. What pulled you to still do it? Was it the whole give value and hope that it's going to pay in the long run, or?
Well, yeah, and at that time it was weird because I like had, you know, we just finished Mary's doc, and I started working with a bunch of people. I was working with EA, I was working with some YouTubers, I was working with like my homie Rudy Mancuso and Anwar, then his whole company Shots, which is like they manage like Lele Ponds, whatever. So I started working with all these different people. So I was doing like content for them. I was like social shit, which was cool because I was building my understanding of like how that all worked. And then just all these different job opportunities that were happening, but it was all at once. So I was starting to make fucking good money, which was sick. And it was coming in regularly. And then they wanted me to go on tour, but they didn't really want to spend money on it because they never had really anyone like me do content for them on the road. And usually it's like they told me like, yeah man, just if you just keep doing you, it's gonna be great, blah blah blah. Like before it'd just be like you'd have a homie, he'd have the camera, you just to get high, fucked up, whatever, not shoot shit. We never seen edits, whatever. They never even made edits on the tour. I'm like, what the fuck? So when I went, when I was preparing to go, I'm like, I can fly a drone. I have a Ronin. I can make my shit look nuts. My BTS recap videos are on MTV and shit for Chris Brown. All this stuff I've done. Fucking Mary J. Blige, Taylor Swift. I've done all this shit. Like, I'm going to fucking kill it for this because I love, you know, Schoolboy Q. I'm a huge fan. You know what I mean? I've been a huge fan forever. So him, Kendrick, all these people, I'm like looking up to him. And to go back to your thing, it was like at South by Southwest, the first time I went, that's when it kind of like I got found by them. And that was like one of my other main inspirations to come to LA was because Musa, who's Top Son, he managed an artist that I shot there. And he managed two artists, Kembe and Zakari. Zakari is on Kendrick's album and did the song Love and shit. And so I lived with him and Kembe when I moved out to LA. But whatever, I shot Kembe shit. Musa loved it. He's like, bro, I'm gonna take you on a TDE World Tour. They're playing some World Tour at the time, which later became the Champion Tour, which happened not too long ago. But they're about to go where I take you, and I like was like, oh fuck, I won the lottery. Like this is crazy. Like how the fuck did I secure the bag on this shit? And I waited in Iowa for them to call me. I kept hitting them up. You know, it was slow, response on what the dates were. Nothing was announced on the internet, but I'm like on standby to go. And nothing happened. So that's when I was like, I need to move out to LA to be in front of Musa again so he doesn't forget who I am because he's probably met a million people like me. But I need to make sure he knows I'm dope. And when I got there, I could tell the tour wasn't happening anytime soon. So that's when I started working with Andrew.
Gotcha.
So then, yeah, me and Andrew do a doc. We do another doc. We did a
lot of shit happens in that time.
Lots. And Musa and he would always be at Craig's house. So I'd always see him. He knew I was up to shit. He would always pay attention. So then when I got Lauren moved out to LA, she finally moved out because I got the place for myself.
That's your girlfriend for people that don't know.
Yeah, my girlfriend.
Shout out to Lauren.
Yeah, shout out to Lauren, done by Lauren. Follow her on Instagram if you're trying to get your eyelashes done. That's a fucking ad.
That's an ad right there.
Paid by love.
I love it.
But she moves out to LA and I get a call like 2-3 weeks later. Yo, Q's tour starts in like 3 weeks. This is it. I've been telling you you're gonna go on this shit. I'm like, oh fuck.
My girl just moved out here, and now you want me to leave for a worldwide tour.
So that was a whole mess. Plus, they didn't have any money for it because they hadn't experienced it before. And I was like, yo, you guys don't understand. Like,
they don't see the value in that content.
Yeah, you're asking me to take, like, the amount of money I'm currently making. I'm on a good path right now. You're asking me to not making any money really, you know, hardly shit after you pay my bills to go on tour with you guys, but I'm about to provide you with all these assets, all these things that you've never had. Like, I'm going to do all this shit. And it was this whole argument. We're negotiating. And then I'm also having to talk to my girl, like, yo, what do we do? Like, long story short, I took it because in my mind, I'm like, this is a chance for me to work directly with an artist creatively, where before I was with production companies, all this shit, and there was always someone steering. I'm like, at least this is me being able to go and direct and create content on the road with my vision from a person that stayed in Iowa and studied the fuck out of a fucking Day to Day by Wiz Khalifa, or anything that Mac ever dropped or Big Sean ever dropped. I would pay attention to all these videos that they would put out. And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking fuck this shit up. And I've been thinking about this since they asked me to go on the first tour the first time, because I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna have my characters be Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q, all these people, and I get to do whatever I want. Just document this shit and make it into it's game over. So I'm like, all right, if I go do this, I'll do the tour. It knocks off some stuff on my bucket list, which is like, I've always wanted, from being in bands, I've always wanted to tour in a bus. Yeah. I've always wanted to like tour with someone big. I'm like, this is a cool way to do that shit. And who knows what this is going to give me. Honestly, I didn't even think about like social aspect of it or whatever. But I knew I wanted to be tagged in on shit. So it was like part of what we agreed on and stuff. I was like, yo, you guys got to make sure I get tagged in. Like when Q posts stuff, make sure he does it. They're like, oh yeah. But that was ultimately like kind of the main reasons why I was like, I gotta do this to build up my name as a creator. You know what I mean? Because everything else has kind of been hidden. Like, I've done dope
especially
shit.
when it's commercial, it's gonna get produced and like nobody really knows.
No one really knows.
You're gonna get your check, but they're not gonna be like,
exactly.
This was shot by Ben Hagarty.
Exactly.
Like, hit him up on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I did it, and that was it. And I took the L on getting good money, but to me, I was like, all right, I just gotta get through this shit. I can at least afford to take this hit. When I get back, I'm gonna go hammer on all this other stuff.
And I get to travel the world.
And I get to travel
on
the
a
world.
bus, which is what I've always wanted to
fly, go to Europe, Australia, all this shit I've never seen before in my life. So we did that, and it was great because I built a great relationship. Like, I was TF that I was just FaceTiming before. It's like, I'm still homies with a bunch of these dudes. Like, Q's the homie. Like, I built great relationships with everyone that I can, you know, like family, and I can call on them for something if I need them. And on top of it, the content they allowed me and gave me to create is timeless. That shit is fucking funny. If you go watch the web series I did, the 1 through 5 or however many episodes it is, they're fucking hilarious. But I got to create, like, to me, I was like, I'm gonna fuck it up. I want to make the best tour videos you've ever seen. So I went full hammer, and everyone in the comments were like, these are like day-to-day episodes on steroids. I'm like, fuck yeah. These are like blah, 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 on steroids. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, that's what I wanted. People going nuts. And then all of a sudden it starts happening where people start hitting me up like, yo, I've aspired to be like you. Wow. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, from making one tour video, but I did all this other shit. No one even knows about it. But that's like one thing that clicked for people. And that kind of tumbles into Black with No Cream after tour and all these other things. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, which is interesting. So let's fast forward. So you finish off the tour, and then you get hit up to do Kendrick Lamar's Damn tour. Yeah. So you're talking another tour right after that.
And mind you, MTV called me while I was on tour with Q because they fucking lost their shit about how dope the web series was. I'm in fucking Australia, and they're hitting me up like,
oh, they want rights to it?
We want to work with it. No, they want to just work with me. Like, they're just hitting me up like, maybe we could make a show like this for MTV or whatever, but even if we don't with Q, like, we still want to get you in the circuit and all this shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow.
So like all this, that started happening early. So it was cool because I was like, oh, maybe we develop a show, or maybe we could do a doc, or what, who knows what we do after this. And then, the Damn tour comes about.
So the Damn tour comes about. You decide, I'm not going to do this. And that same day, that's when you launch Black with No Cream. An active online community. To summarize it, it's an active online community curated to help creators of any type be better versions of themselves. What inside you is telling you to start this platform?
Well, being on tour, like, I was getting so many DMs, right? And I felt like responsible to answer them. And that comes from me being the person DMing people back in the day. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there DMing, yo, how did you do this? How can I, blah, blah, blah. I remember DMing or emailing Big Sean's DJ, just like, maybe he'd play my song, or maybe he'd tell me whatever. And I wrote like some formal email, and he never hit me back. And then like fast forward, now we boys, and I taught him how to fly drones. And now if you watch any of his vlogs, he's flying drones all day.
That's from you.
Yeah, from me. But like at the time, I'd hit all these people, and nothing, you know, no one. Why the fuck would they respond to me? I'm some random kid. Like, no one's got to respond. That doesn't make sense. And how many emails they probably get every day? A lot. Yeah. So, and that's happening. Like, I'm getting so many fucking messages, but I literally would try to respond to every single, unless it was like, yo, 420, tight Q, and I'm like, all right, swag.
Yeah,
but
no,
even then,
you're
I
not
probably
gonna
put an emoji like thumbs up or some shit. Like I still
The
responded.
smoke emoji.
Yeah, but I would always respond to people and try to like give as much value as I could possibly, and I just felt like it was so important to help me get some answers, right? Like at the time. And then I did a AMA on Reddit while I was on tour. I was in Germany or something, and I did a Reddit AMA, and I had like 500 comments, questions. Basically, people were like, "Yo, this is Schoolboy Q's tour. Thank you for the water.
Absolutely.
This is Schoolboy Q's photographer, videographer. Like, ask me anything." And people were asking me all kinds of shit, and I literally, even then, I was answering as many questions as I could in real time as they were coming in, and then I had to go shoot a show, and then back on the bus, even if they were like, now it's not live anymore, I still went back.
Going to go back and respond to them.
Yeah, and I answered every single person, and I just feel like that's innate in me. Like I'm like, I want to help as much as I can, and not even at the time I had like 14,000 followers or some shit on Instagram, and I was like, this is crazy, and it would happen all the time. Even after the tour, I get all these messages. I'm like, what if I could like put them into one spot? I'm like, if they had to ask a question, what if I had them ask a question somewhere else, and maybe if another person was in there that knew the answer, they could answer it for me, so I don't always have to be so responsive. So then I came up with the idea of putting everyone in a Facebook group. So then I started saying like, yo, I'm gonna start this private community for creators. If you want to join it, like just email me or whatever. And then I started, opening it up to 1,000 people. I got 1,000 emails. They all gave me all the shit. I sent it out a group. I was like, yo, join this group. They did. And it's private, but I kind of like, they have to answer questions and whatnot. It's kind of like strategic to get into it, because my idea is like, I don't want just anyone to join just like, oh, cool, yeah, I'll join. And then they join. Then
you want them to be active.
I want them to be active. Like there's a reason why. And so I did that, and it was crazy because the day I did it was the day I was supposed to go on the damn tour, but I turned that down just because their budget wasn't there. And I was like, if I do that, like, it goes back. I need to be making money, and I have this idea.
Yeah.
And when I did it, it started, and it was crazy because like 40 people joined. And I will always tell a story because I thought this was like me seeing it work for the first time, which was within like the first hour.
Wow.
A kid posted like, "What's up, everyone?" Because I told everyone to, yo, go in here and introduce yourself. "What's up, everyone? My name's blah, blah, blah. I'm from Vegas and I shoot music videos." And then right underneath it, this kid comments like, "Bro, I'm from Vegas and I'm a rapper and I want to learn more about making music videos. We should work together." "Yo, definitely we should. Here, shoot me a text." Boom, boom, boom. They exchanged literally their info right there. And I'm watching this happen. I'm like, it just fucking worked. It fucking worked. Yeah. 2 people from Vegas that I have no idea who they are. Yeah. They didn't know who each other were. Met because of me. Wow. And that shit it worked. And then you start seeing people just sharing ideas, or they're asking questions, or here's a reel I'm working on, here's an edit I'm working on for this local business. Like, could you guys give me some tips? What do you think about this? Or has anyone heard about this new effect? Well, like they talk about everything in this shit. Yeah. Without me, like we'll go on right now. I guarantee you, there's probably like a guapa post that just already happened right now. Yeah. Yeah. And it was cool because I saw it. My idea was like, yo, maybe you're a wedding photographer. You ask me what's the best lens to get. I don't fucking know. I don't shoot that shit. But I guarantee you that
somebody in this community,
there's a fire ass dude from Arkansas that shoots weddings for a fucking living, and he knows everything. Please ask your question here. And so I started funneling it that way, and then it built, and now we're almost at like 5,000 members in a private space.
At what point did you say I wanted to do a podcast? Because so you're starting off the community as purely a community, a group. People can discuss topics and ask questions,
and I would like type and shit, and
you would probably chime in here and there just to say what up to people. But what point are you saying, actually, I kind of want to start a podcast because this is not anything that you're already doing?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if I was like, I don't think there was any intention to start one. I just think at one point I was like, maybe it'd be helpful for me to talk to, like, I met a bunch of people along the way. Maybe if I just talked to them in a conversation, like I just always feel like when I meet someone, like us talking earlier, it would have been cool to record that shit.
Usually it is, but Kirk is on tour right now. Kirk Cedric, I think he's been on set.
Oh, Kirk is your fucking roommate?
No, he's not my roommate. He's been doing all my visual BTS.
Oh shit!
So
shout out to Kirk.
Shout out to Kirk.
Yeah,
he's on tour right now with my other roommate Dylan, the artist. He's literally shot all of my BTS for the past year, and so crazy. He left about 2 weeks ago, and so I have no BTS guy. So.
Well, my mindset was that
everything is recorded.
Yeah,
so
I just think like there's so many good conversations I've had with creators that are at top level that are personal, like
Yeah.
you know, whoever may be on a tour bus, or maybe we're backstage at a show and we just get into an hour-long conversation. I'm like, that's fucking incredible. Like the amount of insight I gain in those conversations are meaningful. And I'm like, what if I could replicate that in the podcast format? And then that's just another asset I can give to this community on top of a community where they can all thrive together. Here's like an hour-long conversation with fucking Anderson .Paak's videographer, or whoever's director, or a tour manager, or whatever, and just start talking to all these different facets of creators that are killing it in there, right? And can maybe provide some value in telling their story the same way we're doing it right now. Yeah. It's the same format. It's just trying to find these people that might not normally want to hop on a podcast, or people don't know to ask them, or whatever it is, and just getting them to share that shit, and then, you know, fucking juicing them for what they're worth, and get all those little tidbits out that people could gravitate. It's like,
it's literally such a win-win-win for everyone involved, because to me, it's like I get to establish a relationship with someone. 2, I get to offer somebody a platform to tell their story, because a lot of people that I bring in, they've never formally had a sit-down conversation. They maybe have done like a blog interview or like a Q&A, but they've never formally had their story told. So it's like, okay, I get to give them that value, and I'll give them deliverables, and they'll be able to look like a fucking star and post it everywhere. But then 3rd, I get to build that community. I get to give people value. I give through the podcast, they get to, wherever they are in the world, they get to sit in on a conversation that maybe they can't have because they're not surrounded by the right people. So I didn't really realize the benefits of starting it, and then when I started doing it, I was like, holy shit, this is literally, it's a win-win-win. Yeah, it's amazing.
I think honestly maybe I got the idea because when I got off Q's tour, my friends had a podcast. It doesn't exist anymore. Why the fuck can I not think of the name? Chris and Matt started it. My bad, I can't think of what the fuck it's called.
Shout out to them though.
Yeah, but they interviewed me on it, and it was cool because I was like, I don't know if fucking really, like, I've heard some podcasts. I don't know. I think maybe that was when I started paying attention to it more, was when I got off Q's tour. But I was like, podcasts are cool, and I started tuning into different ones. But they interviewed me on it, and I was like, all right, cool, sure, shit, I'll do an interview. I've done radio interviews and shit like that when I was making music and stuff, but nothing like this. And we talked about it in depth for a minute, and I got so many responses just like forever about it. Like, yo, I just heard this story. This is crazy, blah, blah, blah. That's exactly. I did valet too, bro. I fucking drove valet too. Like, I want to be just like you someday. Like, thank you. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's crazy. I'm like, okay, so then what if I do it just every week? Like, what if I can get another person that come through and change someone else's life? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that just have amazing stories, and we could talk about this shit all day right now, and we'll do this again in fucking 6 months. We're gonna talk about something completely different, and we can tell stories forever. You know what I mean? Like, we've lived a long fucking time, so you can't get it all out in 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever. Like,
no, you can't. There's always, and that's why I love it, because it's just such this open format of like, there is no wrong or right way to do it. And even if you think back to like the world we lived in before technology, it was all just storytelling. That's literally just storytelling of how we've evolved as humans. So now it's like you can tap into these stories anywhere in the world while you're traveling, while you're catching a flight, maybe you're somebody that's alone by yourself. You don't have any friends, or you're like going through some really tough shit and you're in a dark tunnel. Like, these types of conversations, or just listening to what someone else has been through, can be the flip of a switch of like, I'm not alone. He's been the valet driver. He was the podcaster. He was the Uber driver. You get to really like hear the authentic and the realness and like the truth of what people go through, and it inspires you, learn. And I've grown and learned so much since starting this in 2.5 years, and it's just been from listening. Just listening to stories and trying to like take little gems and nuggets and like, oh fuck, I could incorporate that into my life, or maybe I should try this differently or do that differently, and it just keeps adding up.
I love this shit.
We're like, you know, I don't think you ever have to have it all figured out, but like, what do you want to see Black with No Cream become? Like, what do you see this kind of walking to?
It's a great question. I mean, before it was just like a way to stop having to answer so many DMs.
Respect.
Which just never seems to fucking end. Like, I just never, like, I'll go on here right now.
Same questions.
I guarantee you there's some fucking,
come on,
watch,
it's gonna be something.
11 new DMs.
Okay.
I checked this shit this morning. Oh man. There's always gonna be something.
Sometimes it's like just questions where you could just Google it, or you're just not paying attention. Like, yo, Ben, where are you from?
Right.
That is just interesting when somebody doesn't take the time to
hey man, fuck, I can't figure out how to get this clip into Premiere. How do I do that? I'm like, are you dead ass right now? Like, you messaging me because you know that you probably found me because I'm working with one of your favorite artists, and you probably with them right now. And you are messaging me to ask you how to ingest footage into Premiere.
I've gotten very good at not responding to shit like that because it's not worth my time.
But
And
this is the thing.
I hate it though.
This is the thing.
Certain messages.
There's a teachable lesson in everything. So my biggest thing is like elevator pitches and resourcing, right?
Yeah.
You have to be great at pitching yourself. There's so many people like, hey man, I would love to. Hey man, you hiring? Hiring for fucking what, bro?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Why are you just messaging me asking me if I'm hiring? Hiring what? Like, what do you do? Why should I hire you? It shouldn't even start with that question. Like,
what value can you bring?
Yeah, right.
Then ask.
Learn how. If we were sitting in an elevator right now, you had 30 seconds. Are you literally just gonna say, "Are you hiring?"
Yeah.
Is anyone gonna ever ask that? No. Fucking goddamn it. That's what I think I learned about. That's the only thing I really truly feel like I got out of school was a communications degree, but it was about how to communicate with people. You know what I mean? I feel like I really learned the value of storytelling and being able to talk about what you do and highlight that in a proper way. Same with when I would write the emails to Beats. If you read the email, it would have been a good email. He probably had 10,000 of them, so he probably just never even saw it. But the way I wrote the email is like, hey, this is what I do. This is what we're really working towards. I would love it if you could take a listen. If we get your opinion on this, it means so much to me. And any pointers, yada, yada, whatever it was. That shit is respectable. Yeah. But that's been my biggest thing is like so many people ask the wrong questions. I'm like, bro, please Google this first. And I'll tell them, I'm like, the reason why is like, imagine if I am fucking name it. If I am Beyonce and you got to have the actual conversation with that person, is that really what you're going to ask? It's like, hey, what mic should I get to perform Beyonce? That's what you're going to ask Beyonce is what mic you should buy?
Yeah.
Hey, I was just wondering
think it through.
Yeah, don't fucking think about the shit that you're asking. Ask the most important questions.
Bases are loaded. You're up to the plate, bottom of the ninth. Yeah, you have one swing.
That's it. Like, make sure you need to find the stuff that's not accessible online. Yeah. Those are the questions you should be asking the people that have the answers.
Show you did the research still.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
I'm ranting on that.
You know, I respect it, and you know what? I'm gonna give you a little tip, and I don't know if you've even done this before, but something I learned from a previous podcast guest, which has been an ultimate game changer, is responding with a video instead of typing out. Sometimes it's very competitive. It's like repetitive. Like, thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the support. I shoot them back a video, and they love it. Because I took the time to personally say, hey, Ben, thanks for supporting the content. Really glad you're enjoying the podcast. Got a lot more content on the way. Have a great rest of your day.
Right.
Holy shit. Can't believe you just sent me it. But it's a game changer because they love the response of like the actual message. And it's easier to actually video. Thank you for the support. I mean, I would imagine, would you rather do 100 of those or type 100 of the same things? Voice and audio is a lot faster than typing.
That's facts.
I'm telling you, man, absolute game changer. Give it a try.
Yeah, I do want to give it a try.
Just for the quick, like, hey, thanks for supporting. Dude, people freak out when you like show them that you appreciate them by responding with an actual direct message. Ben, Ryan, Jessica, like, game changer.
I like that.
Absolute game changer.
Do you ever use the like the auto response shit with that Instagram dial?
Nah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know they have it. I haven't messed around with it. I maybe should put a couple together. Just so like, what equipment do you use? That's probably like those types of questions, but I haven't used any of the auto response.
I made one that was like, so like people will be like, oh hey, I want to get involved in creating, like what tips would you provide, right?
Okay.
So I made a post on Instagram that kind of like set people up to ask that question, and I was like, yo, if you're a creator, hit me up, like DM me, and they'd be like, I'm a creator, and then I hit X. And it was put the first part of the message, and I hit Y, and put the second part of the message. And the message is personal, because it is truly what I would want to say to them.
Yeah,
I would say it over and over again. But the message is like, yo, here's the truth. If you want to create, I started this thing. If you're not in this thing, you should be in Black with No Cream.
Yeah.
I also talk to everyone on this podcast. So if you truly want this shit, I 100% will talk to you every day if you fucking prove to me that you've listened to every single episode we put out.
Wow.
If I went to school for years, what I walk away with it, I don't know. But I've been in school my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm still in school right now, learning how to do shit. And if I just sat down and dedicated the last 75 hours of my life to listening to these conversations, the value in that is so much more.
This is the school now.
That's what I'm saying. It is
Joe
school.
Rogan's,
100%,
the Lewis Howes, the everybody.
100%.
This is it.
Listen to them all. You know what I mean? And that's basically what it was. It was like, do this, do this, do this. I promise you it's going to help out a lot. And that's it. Just be active in the community. It's going to go a long way for you. That's the best I can give to you right now because I'm fucking busy as shit. You know what I mean? So it's hard. But I did at least go, and I know so many other creators that are killing it in this shit right now that don't even take the time to respond to any messages, let alone go out of their way to create some sort of fucking platform for these people to have a voice and share their shit.
You know what I call that? I call that longevity. Because what you're doing is you're investing in the community, the people that are actually respecting your work. And I think that's where people fuck up.
Right.
I think we used to live in this world where it was 10 years ago, if you're a celebrity, you're behind the curtain. We see you on a movie every 8 months to a year. You come out for the red carpet and you're ghost, you're gone. That's not cool anymore.
Right.
What's cool is actually giving back and being interactive and like reaching out to people and responding to people and like showing love and care to the people that support you. Like, it's not, I don't know. I see it happen, man. I see people that I follow. I'm just like, I just curiously will look into their comments and you're not even taking the time to say, thanks, what's up? I get it. We're busy creators. We're running around. I'm not saying that you should be responding to every single one, but if I scroll back on 10 posts and I see that you've responded to maybe 5 or 6, it's like, do you really even appreciate the people that are rocking with you? So I've doubled down and that's what I'm saying. The video message, I'm responding to the comments. Message. And it shows because then I get more people that are fired up for my content because they're like getting more invested because they see that I'm invested in them, that I appreciate them rocking with me. Right. And now they're like, oh, I'm going even harder for this dude now. And they're sharing things out or I don't know. It's just sometimes I feel like people not take advantage, but they don't appreciate the opportunities that they have around them. And maybe I'll be one of those dickheads one day. And
but now for sure, like especially at the beginning of B&J's tour, I was like responding to all them, and then it got out of hand.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. That's when it gets crazy.
So much at certain points, but still, I filter. Like I'll see shit. Like even if I notice the person messaging me has set up their avatar or whatever it is that feels like they're a creator, like something I get a vibe where I'm like, boom, I'll just click their profile, I'll see in their bio that they tell me something about video. I just said, are you in Black on Cream? They might have said like, yo, that's hilarious. Whatever you just said was funny. I'm like, yo, are you in BWC? They're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, check this out. Smart. And just to loop them in. But like, I'm curious. Like I know that a lot of the people that are hitting me up aren't just all Beehive fans or fucking smokers that want to fucking love Schoolboy Q and shit forever. Like a lot of them are curious about creating and shit. And some of them just feel like they don't even... They think like, oh, he's so famous now, or he does so many shit, and he'll never see my message. Yeah. And it's crazy when they do fucking trip out because you responded on some shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, bro, I got like fucking 10 messages right now. You think I'm
a normal human being like all of you guys?
Yeah,
like...
I don't have 1 million followers. I'm not fucking. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you can reach anyone really. Yeah. Like
that's the world we live in today, man.
Yeah, it's possible.
You send the cold email, send the DM. Like there is that point. I get very excited when I send out these emails that I know there's a 0.01% chance that it's going to happen. But 2 things. 1, I put it out there to the world. Yeah. And 2, we now live in a world where there's still that 0.01% where that matters. 20 years ago, there's no chance.
Nah, never
if I didn't have
How am I supposed to get Leonardo DiCaprio to fucking never
way. But I could send a Hail Mary now. I could deep dive and try to find an email. Exactly. Like you can finesse it. Yeah. The Beyonce though. We have to touch on this.
Let's touch on
Beyonce Jay-Z, man. The On the Run tour. I can't even imagine. We're talking around the globe. We're talking Olympic arenas. We're talking sometimes 100,000 people in the crowd. You're capturing the content. People can see some of the content if they go on to at Ben. What is it? It's BenRealVsWorld.
Yep.
I always get that mixed up. On a personal level, what did this tour mean to you?
The tour, man, is that a cock-a-doodle-doo? Is that
we got roosters out here, bro.
Fucking roosters. That's fucking lit. That's lit. I just heard that.
Try waking up at 5 a.m. Yeah, that's
how it's supposed to happen, I think. Yeah. The tour, it meant the fucking world to me, man. It was like, you can't do it any bigger, in my opinion. Challenge me.
You can't.
You can't.
Right now, 2019, 2 of the biggest artists you could do a tour like that with.
It's actually crazy because before I even turned Kendrick's thing down, I got brought in the CD office or whatever. They told me they wanted me to do that shit. And I was like, oh shit, this is crazy. But when I got done with Q's tour, it was so hard on Lauren and me for our relationship because I was like fucking gone and whatever, it was terrible, that I was like, I can't do another tour because that shit's the worst.
Because you're going to ruin everything.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, I just have to say no or whatever. And then I never knew if the Kendrick thing was going to come to me. I had a feeling like they'll probably want me to go on his tour too. And so when they brought me in and asked me, I'm like, this is crazy. And I brought it to Lauren. I was like, yo, here's the deal. And I told her about it. And this time around, she was like, yo, it's Ken. Like she didn't, no offense, fucking Q. She didn't know who Q was. She didn't know how big Q was. She didn't know anything about him. She low key thought it was, this is hilarious to say, so suck it, Q. She thought it was, you were as big as a local, like one of my local artists from home. She just didn't know who that was, what he had done, any of the shit. Never heard the songs before, whatever. And so it looked like I just left with anybody. Like Ben was just trying to travel and just left me here and went on this tour. She didn't know the shows were insane. She didn't know how the diehard fans were, whatever. And then eventually she starts hearing the songs, realizing she knows his songs. She's hearing them at the mall or wherever she goes. She's like, oh, fuck, Q's huge. He gets nominated for a Grammy on the tour. It starts making sense. When I get done and then I'm like, yeah, that shit was tough, then now she understands the magnitude of what that was, and she starts seeing opportunities that started happening from it. She's like seeing fucking Macklemore become my friend or whoever, like all this random shit starts happening. Like A$AP Rocky talking about my videos and shit, like that's crazy. Yeah. So she now understands that at that point. When it comes to Kendrick, she's like, I already know, like
I know of huge. Kendrick.
Yeah, this makes sense to me. You have to do this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I do have to do this. And when we were out to eat at this Mexican spot and drinking margaritas and shit, and I was like, honestly, as far as the checklist goes, like that's the end of it. Like I think like I did Q's tour, which was dope. We were in theaters, we toured in a bus. Now I'm about to go do Kendrick, which is arenas, which was like the biggest tour he's ever done as a headliner on his own with Travis Scott. And that's going to be insane. Like it's arenas. I'm like, the only thing that could ever be any bigger than that is literally like Beyonce or Jay-Z. I swear on my grandma that I said that shit to her, and I'm like, and that's fucking like, when would that ever happen? A year later, I get the call to come in and start shooting with B for Coachella. And then I end up get the call to go, or the email or whatever, to go with her and Jay on tour. And I'm like, what the fuck?
When that email hit your inbox about the tour, what's going through your head?
Actually, it was a text. It was just from her, the coordinator of her company, but it was crazy because we did Coachella first. That was before the tour. So she did Coachella, and we started rehearsing for that early, like a year, the beginning of the year last year. And so I was like documenting that and shit, and then ended up doing some stuff with my Ronin that she liked, and she saw
Ronin's a steady cam for people else, and it just makes the
camera super smooth,
super smooth. Then you can run around.
They're very common now. You'll probably see it everywhere. They're everywhere. But yeah. I had one, and normally what they would have had was like a steady cam operator, which is like the guys. If you watch like the NFL Super Bowl or some shit, that's the dude that runs around with that big ass vest and the camera hooked up to an arm, and it like keeps the camera steady. These are like the new versions of that do it a little differently, whatever. So I had one. I shot some shit. She liked it. And then she tripped out and was like, yo, that's sick. Like, how do we do that in the show? So then it went from me just like making stuff to I became like her main camera operator. With like, there was no Steadicam guy. They never hired one or whatever. They had me do it. Mm-hmm. So I'm shooting her like main, like this is the camera that opened the show. The first shot is me panning up, revealing the drummer. She's sitting there, Joy. She's playing the drums. She moves out of the way. The dancers are there with flags. The flags move out of the way. There's a bunch of girls standing in a line. They move out of the way. I come through that shit, and then there's Beyonce. That's like the most shared clip on the internet right now. Wow. Like from Coachella, that's like probably the most popular clip that ever came out of Coachella. And I shot that shit, which was crazy. And so I shoot that, and I'm like running backwards. I'm taking her to the main stage. My camera, it was so crazy, bro. Like, from just being like behind the scenes type person to like in the shit, I'm now doing that stuff, and it was like unreal. And I never even knew if that was gonna be me, like throughout rehearsals and stuff. Like I was like, am I gonna be the guy that ends up doing this shit, or am I just kind of mapping it out for someone to come in? I never really knew. And then as we got towards Coachella, I was like, for sure I was doing it. There's no one else that was gonna learn all this stuff. And I did that. And I think like when we were driving to Coachella, I got a text that was like, hey, we loved you, like this has been awesome, like we want to bring you out on the road. And I was like, the tour, shit, that's crazy. She's like, we're going to Paris and whatever, and this month, like let us know. And I was like, what?
Wow. And that's dude, there's so many moving pieces on a tour that scale. Like how many people are traveling on a tour like this? 100 plus?
400 something.
400.
Dog tour is massive, yo.
400. And what was your like title essentially?
I was like the lead video guy. Basically, I don't know. I guess I never really got anyone that gave me a title, but I was like DP. I don't know the tour
but like your
content.
For any like, tour content, like visuals for.
Basically, we were like it was like, so it was me and my homie Dave. So Dave helps me out with all Black with No Cream shit. He's like my right hand and all that shit. Dave was my intern for the podcast, actually, which is what Nikos does. And so he was doing that. He had hit me randomly like, yo, I want to come out to LA and kick it or whatever, just like he's doing right now.
Love it.
Smart motherfucker.
He's following the footsteps. Following the footsteps.
Yeah. And so he hit me like, I want to come out, and I told him like, yo, chill, like don't come out yet, because I'm like just sitting on my computer, like come out when there's like a production or something you could like see, you know, experience something. And like 2 weeks later, I start working with B. They tell me that I can hire an assistant for a week or whatever, and I hit Dave like as soon as they tell me like, can you get an assistant tomorrow? I hit Dave, I'm like, yo, if you can be here tomorrow, this is like 9-10 p.m. If you can be here tomorrow from Texas, I got you a job for 7 days, like this is gonna like crazy. And he fucking booked a red eye, flew here, came to set that day, walked in. We were like, I was like, this is going to be nuts for you, bro. And started working with me as my assistant on that, just helping out with everything. And then for Coachella, he ended up being my spotter on stage because I was doing it all by myself. And they're like, yo, we should probably have someone with you because you're running fast as fuck backwards, blind. Like,
yeah, we need somebody to kind of guide you.
Yeah, so Dave jumps in, so he starts guiding me. We have like a whole system, like fucking. Oh, it was like some real ass shit. Like we had the headsets, we're fucking in that shit. Like
I love it.
Before I start, we're out in the stage, like waiting for her to come out, and like there's just 100,000 people. Probably I don't know how many people are at Coachella, but like around our stage, and we're just out there waiting, just like low key chilling. I have like the rig next to me, and we're just waiting for. They don't know. No one knows what's gonna happen, but I'm out there, right? So it's weird. The fans were just like watching. They're like, wait, what the fuck's gonna happen? Because B surprised everyone on the B stage. She didn't start on the main stage. She started out in the middle of the people, and so they had to sneak her out there. Yeah. So I'm waiting, and me and Dave are sitting there, and Dave's like, I'm nervous as fuck at this point. It's 2 weekends, right? So the first week I'm nervous as fuck. I know the show inside and out, but I'm just like, oh shit, this is it, yo. Like my camera goes straight to the big ass screens on Coachella. If you're at main stage Coachella, those screens are massive. Like that's my image, and I need to do it right. And we're sitting there, and we're like, let's go, baby, let's fucking go. It's some football shit. And then he's like then they didn't come for a while because they were like late to the stage, and we're just waiting, and I'm just like, fuck, why does it take so long? Because I'm so nervous. I'm like, I gotta get out. And Dave's like, yo, fucking look, bro, that's Chance the Rapper right there. And I like look over, I'm like, I don't fucking care. He's like, there's Rihanna. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who's in the crowd. Like, fuck, like let's go. And it was so, man, my nerves were through the roof, but like got through the first shot, killed it, and then the rest of the show like went by in 10 minutes. It felt like it was done like that quick. Like that rig's so heavy. We had like scripted out like when I could set it down, take it off, and all that shit. And I never took it off me. I had it in my hands like 2.5 hours.
I'm ready to go.
I just never. It never even phased me. I was never tired or anything. Like
so much adrenaline that you're not even thinking about being
crazy,
tired.
yo. Like that was nuts. And then but we did it, and the shit was like insane. Like the show was insane. Working with her was insane. Working with like 100 band dancers, all these people. Like Jay would come out and he'd perform one song, but I didn't have there was no shot for me, but I just remember being standby, like maybe they'll cut to this side angle. Like it was pretty like wide and shitty, but I'm like, just to shoot Jay felt like so cool. I'm like, this is so dope. And
what was your favorite Jay-Z moment on tour? I'm guessing he got to know who you were since the content that you have of them. I mean, you're literally this close to them.
With them all the time.
I'm with
them
all the time.
He like, dude, it's always crazy when they tell you you're dope. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, can you say that one more time? I need to record this for my podcast.
Yeah. He's like, yo, you're fucking. I see you with the camera, blah blah blah. He'd always say that shit, like, and you're just like, damn, that's crazy. But what was dope was that Jay like would know. He learned what I would do, like what kind of content we were creating and stuff. And like one time, I don't remember where we were in Europe or UK or somewhere, and he like was standing there, and there's an ill shot that me and Dave would always get, and it's like in this one spot in the pit where Jay's comes out on the catwalks, we call them, like the ones that they can walk, the platforms that they walk out on. He comes to the end, he's standing there, and he's playing a song, I don't remember what song, and the pyro's going nuts behind him. It just looks ill as fuck. So I was trying to get ready to shoot that shit, and I'm filming it, and he's walking up, he's like, oh yeah, and then he just starts waving at me to like come to him, and I'm like, he's like, yo, and he's like pointing at like, come up the stairs, and I'm like, the fuck is he talking? Is he talking to a fan or something? Like, I mean, all right. So I like come around, and then I literally just walk up with him, and he like grabs me up, and then like points to the sea of people, like, look at this shit. I'm like, yo, this footage is on the internet. Like, it's literally just me coming up to JJ's like, come up here, and then he like points to these people, and I just like look, and the crowd's just like going ham, and I'm just like, he's like showing me his view, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like that was the most random shit, and like the illest shit ever. Like, the craziest shit ever. Like, just to be out there with them right there. Like, I've been up on the stage with them a bunch, filming with them, but it's like me passing behind. But he's like, yo, come up here and it's like see this shit, I guess.
And how many countries is this?
Fuck, I don't know. I really don't know.
Take a guess. How many cities then? Like 100 shows?
No,
80?
no, like 60 shows. I mean, the production is so big, it would take like a couple days in between shows. But we did like, honestly, I don't remember what it was. Like,
I should have looked at the flyer before, but I
there was a lot.
About the
it was a lot. We
were
were over in Europe for like, I mean, we rehearsed in Paris and shit, and then we went on tour. So
you rehearsed in Paris.
Yeah.
Oh man, tough.
Yeah, no.
You got to go to Paris.
No, I was in the rehearsal spot. Like, I didn't see nothing in Paris. Like, I was just working the whole time. It was sick. And
this is a full year though of probably rehearsing and then touring.
I don't know. I mean, my whole year of what year is it? 2019 right now?
Yeah.
The whole 2018 was beyond like me and Beyonce's world, bro. Like, because it was Coachella all the way until Coachella. When's Coachella? Next month, April?
Yeah, you're right. April. So pretty much all. I think Coachella's April.
Yeah. So then I think I turned
a whole year.
Yeah. So up to April was Coachella, and then I left for Paris or whatever, and I celebrated my birthday in Cardiff, UK. Like the day before. I think our tour started the 7th. My birthday's on the 5th of June. So, and I got throughout the whole day without telling anyone it was my birthday. And then I told Dave at the end of the day, like, damn, man, I'm fucking 30 years old, bro. That's crazy. I'm with B&J in fucking Cardiff, UK. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And Dave's like, yo, and he starts telling everyone, because we get done with rehearsals and we go back to the hotel, and there's a hotel bar, and everyone would just go fuck it up at the bar, and they'd stay open for us and shit. And we walk in, he's like, it's Ben's birthday. He starts telling everyone, they're like, fuck it up for the birthday, bitch. All the dancers are like dancing, and then everyone's just buying shots and shit. It was sick. It was a good way to like end the night. But
that's a great way to enjoy 30.
Yeah,
with,
it was
like
pretty
an energy
tight.
like that. You're on tour and.
Tour was just starting. It was like, man, it was so nuts. But yeah, we were over in Europe for a while, and then came back to the U.S. and did the U.S., which was so long. It's so crazy. You're playing all that. Like in Europe, we were doing Olympic stadiums, which is fucking wild. And then you're in U.S. doing all these massive fucking arenas or stadiums. Like, and every NFL game, I'm like filming that shit, like sending to my brother. Like, it was crazy, yo.
What do you think was the overall takeaway from the tour for you?
And we went to Africa and India.
Yeah. Don't forget Africa and India.
The total takeaway, my biggest takeaway was, I think I was just learning about myself, like learning that I fucking
could do
am
this
capable of doing a lot of shit that you don't really know until you put yourself in the world. Yeah. I've always been like a person that's like say yes till you can say no type situation. I say yes to everything. So fuck yeah, I can shoot the Steadicam guy shit for Coachella, and then even someone's like, have you ever done that before? I'm like, nah, but I'll figure it out. Like, I'll figure this shit out. And then I did it. You know what I mean? I'm like, go on that tour and just to work ourselves and create some sort of content that they haven't really ever had before. We're making like the GIF type content. We're literally created a look, bro. Like, I will say this right now that me and Dave have a fucking thing on the internet that is new. GIFs have been out forever, but no one's making like video silent GIF moments from show footage. Like, and now everyone's doing this shit. Like, go look at it. Like, they're emulating the way we created these little moments where it's like 4 seconds would be doing a cool little dance, or Jay doing like with the fire, and it just lives like that. And that's like the content we started creating, and people ate it up. Like, people were fucking reposting this shit everywhere. Everyone loved it. They look forward to it. We're putting out like 20 of these little moments every night after a show, but no one knows that we shot the show. We get to the venue. We're at the venue all day long. Get done with the show. It's fucking 11:30 or whatever. All the dancers and band take off and go to the hotel, to the next city. They go to the hotel, but we stay and we're sitting there working till whatever time our bus driver's like, you have to leave by 3 a.m. or we have to leave by 6. Sometimes we'd be up to like when we first started doing, we were up to like 7 or 8 in the morning, bro. Like, just trying to create and figure this out. And then we started getting better at it and faster and whatever. But show nights, we worked a lot. So it felt good to see people, like, people are creating shit like now. They'll even like be like, yo, this is like whatever. Like, do you know who Normani is? She's a really tight singer and shit, but she's always been paying attention to my shit and whatever, reaching out. She has a new song with Sam Smith, and she's doing a tour right now. She's opening for Ariana Grande.
No big deal.
And I love that because she always loved like the videos we're making. You go look at her page. All her shit is exactly
same
like
shit.
I sent it to Dave. I was like, looks like we got another gift god out there. Like, we always call ourselves gift gods. Like, people are emulating this shit. It's cool.
That's a pat on your back.
Yeah, and I think at first it was like weird because you're like, wait, someone's like stealing your style, but that shit happens all the time. And I'm not saying that maybe someone else was doing this before me. I don't know, but it fell into the idea of it. Like, I don't know. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that when you see people are trying to replicate it or create something of their own. It's like we clearly have fucking started something good that people want to do it.
Yeah.
What you've done so much. What do you think would be the best advice you'd give to young creators of the world?
I think at the end of the day, whatever you're accomplishing, you got to find a way to regurgitate that content or that lesson and give it back to someone in some way. Some
Pay
fashion.
forward.
Yeah. Because someone could have told me, 4 years ago, oh man, you just gotta get out here and work your ass off and blah, blah, blah. I already fucking know that shit. I know that you have to put energy, you have to put time, you have to invest time. There's 10,000 hours. I've done 100,000. Like you know what I mean? Everyone needs to be able to give up as much time as they can to learn this shit, be willing to live uncomfortably.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to live uncomfortably. There's nothing that I've done that's been easy. You know what I mean? It's always a guess. Like even at this point, I'm still starting Black Window Cream. I'm thinking like, man, should I go rent this fucking office for whatever a month? Like I gotta put money for this. I got my apartment. I gotta do this shit. I gotta pay bills. I gotta also make a little fucking fund for my retirement someday when I get old because I fund myself. You know what I mean? Like, and like even there's dude, I just got a potential offer for a job and it's like a salary paid job and it's like 6 figures and I'm probably gonna say fucking no to that shit. And just because I believe in what we're doing with this community and like the move of this, not saying like this shit's gonna give me a 6-figure salary. This shit's gonna give me and the homies 6-figure salaries. You know what I mean? Like this shit's gonna elevate so many creators, but in a non-fuckboy way. Like I don't ever want to be like that fucking scam artist kids that are coming in here like creating some shit and be like, no, go download my filmmaking course for $40 now, blah blah blah, and you've done nothing. Like you've done nothing, and I still haven't done anything. But I'm saying like the beauty of what I've done with Black Window Cream is that it's not just me, the leader, me, the host. Yes, I am the founder. I host the podcast, whatever. The beauty about the content we're going to create and continue to create is that it's coming from talent that is not me, experts that is not me. I'm not a fucking expert in like sound design, but I got them. I know them. So I can teach you through them. They can teach you. I'm just going to be like this middleman that like funnels the shit to the people that need it.
Packages it all together.
You might not ever think about teaching this shit. I'm going to talk to you about what you did, package it in a way, give it to this person, and never sell you some trash shit. Like that's not my goal. But I think like, because especially now we're like, how do we make Black Window Cream make money? Because right now it's just been like me putting fucking dumb money into it on my own. As you know, you have a podcast. Shit gets expensive. And it's never been anything. We started Patreon, which is like a crowdfunding type thing. So like that's cool. Shout out to people that support on that stuff. But like, how can it become a sustainable business? Because at some point it has to be. And the only way I want to do it, otherwise I would rather just fucking close it all now if it involves some shiesty shit. The only way I want to make this thing be a official business is if it truly provides value to people. That's it. If you can take this, use it as an investment in your time or whatever, like it's not like we're asking whatever I could think of, wouldn't it be like dumb money? Like you don't have to put up your fucking mortgage or your house or something. But I'm saying like if you looked at something like, oh cool, I could learn blah 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 for X amount of dollars, like it will be worth it. Like it's 100%. It's actually probably underselling whatever it is. Like I never want to sell something for like the full cost because I feel bad in that shit. So I don't know. I think that's where like I'm going and with this direction. I guess I don't even remember what the fuck question was.
No, you're good.
I ramble so much.
These are like the fast questions or towards the end. But what's your definition of success?
Money.
As he just said,
money,
we're not
bitches, houses.
We're not doing it for the. We're not doing it
for.
Yeah, we're doing it for the people.
Have you ever driven in a Lambo? Mm-mm. I want to drive in one, but I wouldn't buy one. I want a Tesla.
Yeah, I would love to drive one just to try driving a Lambo.
I think it'd be tight.
But owning a Tesla would be fire because you could just hit cruise control and just let it
fucking.
You'd be editing and
I want one so
shit
bad.
done.
Gonna get a Tesla someday. My definition of success. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Just providing value for others.
Yeah,
that's it. I think I did a tour with Beyonce Jay-Z, lit, fucking the most incredible experience of my life. But there's something about having like the kid at Chipotle yesterday coming up on me when I'm fucking stuffing my face with a burrito, be like, bro, are you Ben? Dog, I listened to the podcast, man. That shit's fucking tight. Oh, thank you, dude. Keep it up, bro. That means so much. Blah blah blah. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. That's like some shit I wish my mom could see. Like my mom did see me work with Beyonce. Yes, that's cool as fuck. But like having someone come out of their way to like thank me for some shit or even just to notice me or something, like I don't need the notoriety. I'm just saying that I feel happy that I can help others. Like to make it a short answer, then I'll stop there. Just to be able to help other people. That's like my favorite thing.
And I'll stop there.
Yeah, that's success to me, man. Like that's a fucking win.
Going off of that, what do you think Ben's purpose is?
Man, it's hard not to keep saying the same thing because I feel like that's probably my purpose is that like to inspire others through my trials and tribulations. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to be able to tell proper stories as good as I possibly can. You know what I mean? Like I've had an opportunity to tell several people's stories and create timepieces, which is amazing. And I think that I'm planting like my stamp on certain parts of my life through those stories I'm telling, which is incredible. And I feel blessed to be able to be trusted to be able to tell someone's story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's cool as fuck to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no matter what, it always comes back to just being able to help others.
Yeah.
We had like a nonprofit glow stick 5K when I was back home that I wish I could keep working on. I just never have enough time to do it living in LA.
Yeah.
Like we were doing all this shit. Like, there's so much stuff I want to be doing on top of it. It's like
you'll be able to do more once you continue to grow and keep getting more people on board. And build out a team, and then you can actually like you go focus on this, you focus on that, because there's only so much you can do.
Right.
Sometimes I get anxious because I'm like I want to do so much and I have so many different plans, but I can't execute them yet. It's not the right time, but also it's good to use that as the fire, the motivation for the mornings when you're like, fuck, I don't know if I don't want to get up right now. Oh, I got this to remind myself, or I need to get this done, or you know, I don't think we all have to have it perfectly mapped out, but I think it's good to just kind of think about the bigger picture and think of the impossible, because it's
and
like
your impact.
You can and of course the impact too, but it's using that as fuel to the fire of like, it's going to come at some point, or I'm going to be able to get that guest on the show, or I'm going to be able to create that nonprofit or bring that back into the picture. Before I get into the closing questions, this is when I reverse the role. I allow the guests to ask me any one question. Could be something you want to know about
Hot
me.
seat.
2 rules. 1, can't be a question that I asked you today.
Fair.
2, can't be about the podcast.
All right. So first question is, will you be on my podcast?
100%. Let's fucking do
it's not about his podcast, it's about my podcast.
Dude, that's how we exchange, baby. 100%.
What was your, to you, moving from Massachusetts?
Yep.
What was like the final motivator that made you? Did you drive here?
Yeah.
What was
packed up the whip.
What was the thing that made you start packing the whip and you felt comfortable to take a risk?
I was signing a year lease in Boston, and I literally was like out loud, or I think I might have told my parents. I said, before I signed the lease, I said, I'm gonna sign a 1-year lease in Boston, and I'm going to LA after that. All of my life since I was in 5th grade, I want to live in LA.
Right.
I love the lifestyle, love the culture. I love the idea that the entertainment industry was out here. I just thought it was cool. No interest of ever creating. I didn't create growing up at all. Fast forward, about to graduate college. So let me go back. I thought I was going to move out to LA for college, use that as the escape to come out to California for college. Didn't happen. Then I thought when I was graduating, I'll move out here. And when I was trying to put together a podcast, I said, the last thing I need to do is move to a place I don't know anyone. So I need to stay in Massachusetts. I need to stay where I know people and use this as a network to build something. But at the same time, I said, if I'm serious about it, I'll give myself 1 year in Boston. And no matter where I'm at, I'm moving to LA.
Right.
I don't care if anybody's come with me or not. I need to do this for myself. 100%. We're going to make it happen. So literally that whole year, I kind of, looking back, I don't regret it, but like part of me was just, at one point, that same whiteboard was the same one from Boston. I remember I had a countdown for like 300 days out till LA. And I would change it every like 10 or 15 days, like 275, 250. So part of me was just, I don't know, I had lived in Boston and I had gone to college out there, that I knew the city. So I was just ready to make that move to LA.
Right.
But I understood too, I need to build something so that when I get to LA, I can keep going. Kind of what we were talking about before of like, hone in on a craft, then move to where it's crazy busy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna build as many podcasts as I can in my belt in a year. Hopefully 52 or 53, 54, if I can get more or less out, like just as many as I can. But I knew that come September of 2017, my lease is gonna end and I'm out. And timing all just worked out. My buddy Dylan, the artist, he was looking to move out to LA for business. He had always wanted to do it. We had always talked about it. We grew up 2 blocks over from each other. So it was like, we got to make this move together. Right. And then So we knew we were coming, and then my third roommate, like I told you before, he went to college with him. But literally about a month out, maybe even less, maybe like I think it was like end of July, maybe the first week of August, my buddy Dylan called me and he said, yo, like, I don't know if this is the right time for me. Like, would you maybe think about like 2 or 3 months instead? Like, instead of September, would you go like maybe October, November? I said, bro, honestly, like, if I had something to do to kill time in that 1 to 2 months, I would love to stick around, but I have to do this.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get it if you don't want to come right now, but I'm going. And hopefully we can figure it out. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But like, we'll both be in LA. We'll figure it out. And fortunately, I think what was the tipping point was that the other guy, Steve, when I think Dylan went to call him and tell him like, yo, I'm kind of up in the air. He kind of just gave Dylan the ultimatum of like, yo, I was living in Oakland. You told me you guys were moving to LA. I opted out of my lease.
Yeah.
So it was more of like, I was like, I'm going no matter what.
Right.
He was like, I'm coming to LA because you told me you were going to. So now, like, what do you mean you're not coming? So
forced his hand.
So yeah, so it was like, to answer the full question, it was all leading up to move to LA for that whole year in Boston. And it's just crazy because it was the place I had always wanted to live as a kid. Then it also becomes the best place for this type of work. And then to me, like the whole East Coast to West Coast road trip was part of the package deal. I had told as a kid, man, it's crazy. I literally was thinking about it so much that I told myself one day I'm going to pack my car and do it.
Hell yeah.
And so I had another homie who doesn't live out here. I went to college with. He was somebody that loves road trips. So me and him just packed my car, did it in like 7 days. But
goddamn,
I actually was the 1 year mark of the podcast when I left. So it was kind of great timing. I dropped this mini doc called Farewell Boston. It was pretty much me reflecting on the past year of my life and all the lessons I was learning. You know, just graduated college. Homies around me were working corporate. I was that oddball man that just went the other route.
Right.
I'd worked full time as an Uber driver in Boston. I was, trying to build this podcast. And definitely within that first year, I had some successes that I was like, I'm on to something. I need to keep going. And so it was like, holy shit, I'm literally starting my road trip, the 1 year marker. There's been all these like little things. Dope. It's like weird timing. But I've always kind of used that as just fire to the, fuel to the fire for me to keep going. But we'll, if you want me on the podcast, I got some shit, man. We could really dive into it. So that's a little preview.
Dunzo.
Make sure you guys go subscribe to Black with No Cream.
Please
so that
do.
when the podcast comes out, you'll be able to get it.
Absolutely.
Closing questions. Where can people find you on social media? Where can they find Black with No Cream?
Yep, BenRealVsWorld on Instagram, Twitter. That's usually what I'm on. Black with No Cream on Instagram as well, and then we also have the YouTube channel, which is Black with No Cream. Mm-hmm. Right now, it's just been pretty heavy on podcasts only. That's it. But I'm gonna start doing a lot more tutorial shit and bring in some people to do tutorials on there, which I think will add a little bit more value to it.
Dope. And
then some other forms of content. So yeah, subscribe.
Make sure you guys go to Ben's personal IG and drop a bunch of bearded man emojis on his posts.
Hell yeah.
He's gonna be like, you're gonna comment on like a Beyonce post, and he's gonna have a random bearded man. He's gonna go, what the fuck?
I'm down for that.
It's gonna be from this podcast. Send it. Before I ask the last question, thank you for coming in today, man. I appreciate it. It's been great sitting down, really just hearing your story. I kind of knew what I was getting into when I was doing the research for it, and I was like, damn, this guy has done so much in his fucking lifetime. But crazy. Just being a fellow podcaster, seeing the people that you've worked with, that I'm friends with, Jordan Wazzy, you were just with him on shooting with MGK. Like, it's just cool to see dots finally connect. So I know there's a lot of listeners of this podcast that were fired up that I was getting you on today. So thank you for taking the time to be part of this.
Yo, thank you for having me and fucking inspire me to step my shit up.
You got it.
I just told him, I was like, this fucking look is what I fucking need.
Yeah.
I fucking love this shit.
You got that new studio space coming.
Yeah, keep it up. This shit's impressive.
We're just
He's got a whole, I wish the camera could see this shit, but there's a whole fucking wall of all his people.
All the pictures, the BenRealVsWorld, baby.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on that wall, man.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Last question for you. For somebody that's listening, hasn't found that passion, hasn't found that purpose out just yet, what's the best 2 to 3 pieces of advice you'd give to them?
But they're looking for it. They're looking for like.
I want you to imagine somebody that graduates college, doesn't know what to do now.
Right. I would say, like we talked about this earlier. I don't know if it was on the podcast or before we got here, but you kind of almost need to own your space that you're in right now if you're stuck, right? So like as you were talking about, you're in Boston, you're like, I need to make the best of it. So you started doing the podcast. I did the same thing in Iowa. Yeah, I know I need to move to LA, or I know I need to do this to become XYZ. In the meantime, I'm going to fucking conquer my space. Like conquer your space and build it and learn and do as much shit as possible to be in the field, to learn and practice and grow as a craft, because I was constantly shooting videos. I was constantly shooting photos in Iowa, not of famous people, not of shows, whatever, but like learning how to utilize my camera and learning how to become great at that, and then learning how to be growing my business and shit. So that shit helped me when I got here.
Yeah.
I did all the research. I lived on the internet. I fucking watched every YouTube video. I watched every blog. I read all the books. I did everything. So when I get into these conversations with these top dog people, I can communicate with them in a way that they understand, because I've already like tapped in. So I'd say just do as much research as possible, learn what your goals are, and then set a fucking timeline for yourself. A realistic timeline. No, like, don't say like, I need $1 million and then move into LA. Like, all right, cool. How long is it going to take you to make $1 million? Like, think respectively. Like, do your research on where you're going. Don't just say like, oh, I'm going to send it and move out here or whatever. Like, just Craigslist. Start looking at what things cost. Really map out your shit, and that's going to help you execute and hopefully get a step closer towards what you're trying to do.
Love it.
I think works.
Ben Hagarty.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate
Thanks for coming in, brother.
Hell yeah.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Boop. See ya. Bye.